Chapter 73. 3 days later, the third episode of the second round began airing. Sioux City TV station. Backstage of the Takashi Hoshi competition. Min Jian stood on the balcony with a cup of coffee, quietly watching the lights in the distance. In the second round of the competition, the viewership ratings from yesterday and the day before had significantly increased compared to the first round. As the rounds progressed, the competition became more exciting, and the viewership ratings would naturally increase accordingly. However, for this episode, Min Jian felt uneasy. The third episode of the second round of the competition had just finished recording when it was exposed to inhumane spoilers. Through the posts of the live audience members, Weibo and other channels, as well as the reposts of the paid posters behind the scenes, the details of this episode were revealed without reservation. Being reposted by the spoilers was proof of the show's popularity. Min Jian should be happy that the show was popular. The results of the third season of the competition were obvious to all. Min Jian firmly stabilized his position as the top variety director. However, there was a limit to everything. A small amount of spoilers could arouse the audience's desire to watch. Min Jian was very familiar with this kind of promotion. However, too many spoilers would overdraft this kind of anticipation. The audience would not rush to watch it immediately or even not watch it at all. Just like the netizens said, they would have finished watching the latest episode after browsing Tieba. Director Min, the viewership ratings for the first 10 minutes are out. The assistant rushed to Min Jian with the form. How much did it drop? 0.8%. Although he already had an estimate in his heart, the coffee in his hand still trembled. What about the online broadcast rate? It also dropped by 13%. Phew! Min Jian slowly turned around and returned to his seat. Director Min, what should we do? Now that the show has been hyped up, spoilers are unavoidable. After all, we are competing. The final highlight of the competition is the outcome. Once the outcome is announced, the audience's desire to watch will decrease. Why don't we close the competition? Don't arrange for the audience? The live audience's reaction is also a necessary effect for the show. If there is no live audience, the audience in front of the TV won't have the immersive experience. The live audience cannot be small. Then, what should we do? I plan to use a half-live broadcast and delay the broadcast by half an hour. How will the post-production be in time? Find the most professional team to synchronize the post-production. As long as there are no sudden changes in the competition, I should be able to control the rhythm of the show. With the popularity of the Takashi Hoshi tournament, there was no reason for it to end so poorly. Since the devil is 1 foot taller, then we will be 10 feet taller. If we win this round, I will give everyone a big bonus. Should we talk to the producers and ask for their opinion? It's my show. I can make the decision. Don't worry. Let them know. Gradually, the program came to an end. Suddenly, there was a strange cry in the data monitoring office. F***CK. Min Jian raised his head and stared coldly at the technician. Didn't he know that his sudden roar in the quiet office would scare people? Min Jian faintly took out a tissue and wiped the coffee that splashed on his pants. F***CK. Another strange cry was heard. What happened? Director Min, the ratings have increased. Director Min, the online streaming rate has suddenly returned. What happened? It should be related to Little Wolf's appearance, that's right. It's currently broadcasting contestant Little Wolf's match. The highlight of this episode is almost all about contestant Little Wolf's act of showing off backstage. In fact, his battle this time wasn't exciting. That's right. The online video comments have also started to become active. On the network player, the originally cold and cheerless bullet screen suddenly flooded with comments. He's here, he's here. He's walking over with a disregard for his own family. He's here, he's here. He's swimming with the aura of a king. Pff. Ha ha ha. Wow, so white, so round, so beautiful. Wow, so long, so straight, so sexy. There are so many idiotic netizens. Do you want to give me a horizontal comment? I'm in the middle of bickering. I'm not free. Is Little Wolf's opponent today this young lady? Why do I feel a little sorry for her? I heard that Little Wolf KO'd this young lady in this match. How could Little Wolf do that to such a beautiful young lady? I feel sorry for her. The person above is a mother. A real man should kill his sister to prove his Tao. That's right. A gentlewoman is a hero's grave. In the world of Takashi Hoshi, there are no sisters, only brothers. No one wants this girl, right? I'm taking her away. The person above is despicable. Slurp. As the bullet screen increased, the keyboard warriors instantly became excited. They quickly used the Foshan Shadowless Hand, and the bullet screen filled the screen until there was no gap. There was nothing to see in the match. Min Jian and the production team knew this. In a match where the strength was completely unequal, although the one-hit kill was amazing, the audience still wanted to see an intense match between the two of them. Therefore, when Wang Lan sent Anwei out of the ring with a quick punch, the screen was filled with comments of people throwing flowers. Occasionally, there would be one or two bootlickers who didn't know how to be gentle with a beautiful woman. How could he lay his hands on a beautiful woman? They were quickly drowned in the bullet screen. Then, Anwei stood up and scathed. The judges explained that Wang Lan's quick punch didn't hurt Anwei. After she was sent out of the ring, the bootlickers naturally disappeared. Then, the real climax came. Originally, Wang Lan was given a bye, and the keyboard warriors in front of their computers were so angry that they smashed their keyboards. In this season's Takashi Hoshi competition, Little Wolf was the only thing to watch. If it weren't for Little Wolf, no one would watch this show. However, he did not expect that the wolf cub would break through in front of everyone after drawing a bye. The production team made a special cut for this unexpected event. The lights dimmed and the sound effects were turned off. A close-up of the surging astral power around Wang Lan, and then a close-up of the confused audience in the stands. The atmosphere was set to the peak, and the audience watching through the screen felt so nervous that they couldn't breathe. Suddenly, Wang Lan's astral power surged, and then calmed down in an instant. Damn, so the breakthrough of a Takashi Hoshi is really like in the TV series? This is King real. There's no special effects at all. Although it's not as good as special effects, why am I so moved? I can't believe that a muggle like me can actually see a real breakthrough of a Takashi Hoshi in my lifetime. I'm so moved. Don't cry. Tell me your address. I'll send you some warmth. I wish you and Lulu 100 years of bliss. I hope you don't get AIDS soon. Next, of course, was Wang Lan's special show of bragging. When they heard Wang Lan's theory about the breakthrough, the bullet screen exploded. He's so pretentious. Let alone these Takashi Hoshi, even I want to chop him up with a knife. I originally thought that Little Wolf was a proper Takashi Hoshi with a mask, but now I know that this guy is definitely not a proper person. Can someone tell me why these Takashi Hoshi have such a big reaction to Brother Wolf's breakthrough? Little friend, you don't understand, do you? A lot of preparation work is needed for a Takashi Hoshi to make a breakthrough. The most basic preparation work is a large source of astral power. It's either a soul pearl or a body full of astral power. Then it's absorbed or extracted in one go to break through the starlight in the Star Palace. When the starlight breaks through the upper limit of astral power, it's a breakthrough. That's right, but Little Wolf obviously didn't do any preparation work. He just broke through so brazenly without caring about other people's feelings. This is to refresh the worldview of other Takashi Hoshi. Oh, Brother Wolf is the best! The last episode of the second round successfully came to an end. Although the average viewership for this episode was not good, there was an explosion at the peak. It gave the production team a dignified platform to stand on. In the dead of the night, all kinds of jokers were still in high spirits. On a certain platform, Groups had just gathered and Wang Lan's videos were crazily flooding the screen. And these had nothing to do with Wang Lan. After reaching star blazing, the speed of the breakthrough slowed down significantly. That's right, the total amount of experience required was 100 times that of the heavenly body tier. It started at 10,000 experience points, and now that he had successfully upgraded to star blazing level 4, it actually required 40,000 experience points to upgrade to star blazing level 5. Probably, even if he won the Takashi Hoshi tournament, it would at most fill up half of the experience points, right? At the thought of the difficulty of upgrading, Wang Lan could not help but feel sad. In the third round, 13 out of 25 would advance, with a total of 12 matches spread over 2 days. Because Wang Lan had a bye, he did not participate in the competition and went to school obediently. But he seemed to have heard from his classmates that the broadcast time had been adjusted. Wang Lan was not very concerned about this. Even if the class was fiercely discussing Little Wolf's identity, and even if a few girls publicly confessed to Little Wolf, Wang Lan's indifferent attitude could not be shaken. The main thing was that the icicle below his butt reminded Wang Lan not to be cocky, not to be arrogant. If he dared to eat fried noodles, he would be in for a bloody disaster. In this regard, Wang Lan's heart was like steel, and he remembered the 8 major disciplines of the party. Unknowingly, it was the weekend again. The third round ended perfectly, and the top 13 were successfully determined. In addition to Wang Lan's effortless promotion, Hu Qing also won a fierce victory over her opponent. But it was said that although Hu Qing won with difficulty, she also suffered serious injuries. It was not easy to earn this 100,000 yuan prize money. If Hu Qing were to encounter another tough battle, she would probably be eliminated. But luck would always open a door when you did not expect it. In the draw for the top 13 to advance to the top 7, Hu Qing was lucky enough to have a bye. In other words, not only did Hu Qing effortlessly win the 200,000 yuan prize money, but she also had 2 days of rest. 2 days of rest was enough for Hu Qing's injuries to heal. For a Takashi Hoshi, as long as they had time to rest and enough food, their self-healing ability was very strong. The greatest value of a Takashi Hoshi was that on the battlefield, it could increase the team's endurance under the premise that there was no time to rest at all. After Wang Lan learned of the situation, he called Hu Qing. On the other end of the phone, Hu Qing was in high spirits. She only said that she had broken 2 ribs and that 2 days of rest would be enough to heal. It was fine. She also asked Wang Lan to compete well and enter the top 7. As for Hu Qing's request, Wang Lan said that it was necessary. What was he here for? Of course, he was here for the championship. With each round, the experience and skill points reward would skyrocket. Becoming the champion was probably comparable to working hard in the previous rounds. Since they were all beating up the same person, of course, they had to rush to the champion's throne. They went backstage. Today there would be 6 rounds of matches. After the top 7 were determined, they would rest for a day, and then the top 7 competition would be held on Monday. At this point, the remaining contestants were basically all experts. There was definitely no one who could slack off. As for who would win and who would be eliminated, none of the contestants backstage dared to guarantee. Chapter 74. From this round onwards, the competition would be broadcasted live. The recording would start half an hour earlier, and the backstage crew would edit it immediately. When the recording was completed, it would be broadcasted before spoilers could be revealed. First, they would draw lots for the matches and opponent. Wang Lan's opponent this time was a metal-type Takashi Hoshi. When he saw the results of the draw, Wang Lan looked up. His opponent was also looking at Wang Lan and giving Wang Lan a thumbs up. However, just as Wang Lan was about to respond, his opponent suddenly smiled slyly and put his finger down. Childish. The metal type was not considered a high percentage among Takashi Hoshi, but it was not considered a rare attribute either. The metal type's specialty was to control metal and use star power to create metal. Wu Changfeng was a metal type galaxy-grade expert. Wang Lan had chatted with Wu Changfeng before, and the metal type's practical range was not as wide as Wang Lan had initially thought. Metal type Takashi Hoshi was not Magneto. Metal type Takashi Hoshi was. Metal type Takashi Hoshi's most common trait was to cover their bodies with metal to increase their defense. This was different from Wu Changfeng's body of steel. The body of steel would be metallized, but this was a very advanced realm. Generally, metal-type experts would be considered very good if they could cover their bodies with metal. If they covered their bodies with metal, they would turn into a tank and crush their opponent. Perhaps his opponent thought that Wang Lan's nebula sword dance and flaming blade were not enough to break through the defense of his metal armor. In addition, Wang Lan had revealed his mid-stage star-blazing strength, so he looked down on Wang Lan and provoked him childishly. However, he did not know that his covert actions had been captured by the backstage camera. Min Jian tapped his chin and looked at the frozen image on the screen. "Director Min, should we edit it out?" Min Jian suddenly turned around and asked. "Movies, TV shows, novels, and other entertainment works all have a main character. What is the main character of our Takashi Hoshi competition?" "Of course it's the Takashi Hoshi. Every Takashi Hoshi is the main character in the hearts of their fans." No. There wasn't just one main character, there was only one. Perhaps at the very beginning, everyone had the potential to become the main character. Putting them together to compete was to let the real protagonist break through the encirclement. A person's focus was limited. There was only so much love that could not be divided. It was like a group of people walking on the street. Whoever could become the most beautiful child would be the main character. Ever since the third episode of the Takashi Hoshi tournament began, Little Wolf had stood out from all the other contestants and become the main character. His discussions and his popularity are above all the other contestants. "Director Min, you mean, since there is a main character, and everyone else is just supporting characters, then how to create a topic of conflict and how to make the audience see a sense of conflict is our business. Since the player from Jincheng provoked the protagonist, why don't we give a close-up and let the audience see the protagonist being provoked? This will increase the audience's anticipation for this battle." "This isn't good for contestant Jincheng? If he cared about his reputation, he wouldn't have done something so ungentlemanly backstage." "Alright, I understand." The match officially began. Wang Lan's match was the second to last match. Wang Lan sat quietly backstage, watching the match through the big screen. In the fourth round, the battle became more intense. Of course, in the eyes of outsiders, it was especially intense. But in Wang Lan's eyes, it was especially disjointed. How should he put it? The two contestants looked ferocious and bitter, and their battle was earth-shattering with dazzling special effects, but it was all for show. Wang Lan saw several times that they could have used simpler and more practical ways to dodge, but they chose to use Takashi Hoshi to block. There were several times when they could have used close combat to win, but they chose to use Takashi Hoshi instead. Takashi Hoshi had its disadvantages. At least Takashi Hoshi had astral power fluctuations and signs. Punches and kicks were silent. Although they were not powerful, their movements were subtle and fast. Close combat was the most common way for Takashi Hoshi to kill enemies in actual combat. But in the first two matches, punches and kicks were just appetizers. In the end, it was Takashi Hoshi's battle. The audience was thrilled. They all stared at Sigui, but what was the difference between this and special effects in a TV series? At least in Wang Lan's eyes, it was so fake that he couldn't bear to watch it. Halfway through the match, the live broadcast began. While the host quickly announced the name of the sponsor, the contestants backstage also appeared on the TV screen one by one. "Wolf Cub, I finally see Wolf Cub. I've been waiting for 2 days." The first 2 episodes were quite exciting, but without Wolf Cub's match, I feel like something is missing. "Me too. I feel like I'm watching a different show on another channel. Is Wolf Cub going to play this time? Since he's here, he should at least finish the match before leaving. They're divided into groups. Damn, he's the tank. No matter how I look at it, Wolf Cub should be an agile warrior. I've watched Jincheng's tank in the first few episodes. Its whole body is covered in steel and its defense is invincible. It's almost unbeatable. I've seen it too. Visually, the thickness of his armor is comparable to a real tank. Unless you use armor-piercing bullets, otherwise, you won't be able to break his defense. Is Jincheng really that strong? Very strong. You must not have watched the other matches seriously. You're just watching Wolf Cub. Until now, no one has been able to defeat Jincheng's tank style. Then, isn't Brother Wolf Cub in danger? Brother Wolf Cub, go for it. Wolf Cub is invincible. Wait, let me take a screenshot first. Soon, a picture appeared in the comments section of the video player. A screenshot also appeared in a new post on the Tieba forum. I just took a screenshot. Although the scene will be over soon. But what did we see? Jincheng actually provoked Wolf Cub. How old is he to do such a childish thing? How arrogant. The internet was a magnifying glass. Sometimes, an insignificant matter that Wang Lan didn't even take to heart could suddenly blow up through the internet and cause a huge commotion that would sweep the entire internet. A trending topic suddenly jumped to the 10th place and quickly reached the top 6. Director Min, the comments section on the internet is exploding. Many people are criticizing Jincheng. Is this really okay? If he cared about the consequences, he wouldn't have made that move backstage. Also, we didn't deliberately give him a close-up. We just accidentally cut out these 2 seconds of footage. But judging from the effect of the show, we succeeded. Now that the conflict has been buried, the audience's emotions have been stirred up. We're just waiting for Wolf Cub to bring the audience a climax of face-slapping. But what if Wolf Cub loses? The assistant asked hesitantly. Wolf Cub won't lose. Director Min, why are you so sure? I've asked the judges. Huh. The assistant looked at Director Min in disbelief. Don't you know that Teacher Bao and Teacher Qin are known as the strategic trio? How can their predictions be trusted? I'm not asking about them. I'm asking about a real professional Takashi Hoshi expert. In his words, he hasn't found Wolf Cub's weakness yet. Even if he's considered a weakness, it might just be because he hasn't shown it. That Takashi Hoshi expert is Nebula. Thank you Long Needle and Chang Shuangyue for bringing us such an exciting match. Although Long Needle has tried his best, he still lost to Chang Shuangyue, who has been performing consistently. Now, let's invite the Earth-type staff to repair the ring. While they're repairing the ring, we'll broadcast an advertisement. After the advertisement, we'll start the 5th match, Wolf Cub vs. Jincheng. Dear audience, please don't leave. After the advertisement, please come back immediately. After speaking, the host suddenly took out a handkerchief and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead as if he had lost all his energy. God knows what kind of thrilling experience it was for him, an ordinary person, to stand on the host's platform outside the ring and watch 2 powerful star martial artists use star bombardment martial skills at such a close distance. His accident insurance had already been bought for 10 million yuan, but now it seemed that it wasn't enough. He had to increase it even more. It was too dangerous. The ring was quickly repaired, and Wang Lan entered the ring amidst the intense background music. Wang Lan entered the ring, but Jincheng didn't appear on the opposite side of the aisle. Just as the audience was puzzled, a slight trembling sound accompanied by heavy footsteps rang out. Jincheng's upper body was naked, and his brick-like muscles swayed up and down as he walked. On Jincheng's back there was a huge, shiny black iron pillar. The iron pillar was almost twice the size of Jincheng. It weighed at least a few tons, right? Yet, Jincheng was able to step onto the ring without batting an eyelid. Isn't that too exaggerated? He can leave footprints on the cement floor? Is the cement not dry? Not a fart, it's because he stepped on it. My God, how heavy is it? More than 10 tons? Jincheng didn't carry such a big thing before. Is it his weapon? Can he wield such a heavy weapon? I don't care if he can wield it or not. What I'm worried about now is whether the protective barrier on the ring can withstand it. If the protective barrier is broken, all of us in the studio will be smashed to death, right? Damn, I want to sit in the back row. Get to the front. The commotion in the stands was also accurately captured by the camera. Min Jian was very satisfied with this phenomenon. If Little Wolf was the only one who stood out, then this match would be far from the audience's expectations. The strength of the opponent could create more suspense and arouse the audience's sense of anticipation and tension. Jincheng's image today was completely different from before. In the past, Jincheng always went onto the ring lightly. But Jincheng carrying such a big thing was completely different from Jincheng when he was light. The impression he gave was the difference between a human and a monster. Wang Lan looked at Jincheng solemnly. There were only 2 reasons why he could carry such a heavy thing without changing his expression. Either Jincheng's strength had exceeded the limits of Takashi Hoshi, or he had mastered the Takashi Hoshi technique. If his strength exceeded the limit, then it would be fine. But if he had the Takashi Hoshi technique that could change gravity, then this would be Wang Lan's second tough battle since the competition started. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The little bee flapped its wings and flew over the venue. It found a perfect angle and landed, staring straight at the 2 people on the stage. In the Heavenly Sword Bureau, Wang Qianfeng didn't get off work to rest. Instead, he sat in his office and made a cup of fragrant tea. He looked at the video recorded through the little bee's vision and took a sip of tea with satisfaction. Da-da-da! There was a knock on the door. Who is it? It's me. He Mingshue's voice sounded outside the door. What are you doing here? You didn't go home after work, so I came to see what you're doing in your office. He Mingxue pushed the door open, but his eyes fell on Wang Qianfeng's computer screen. What's that in your hand? Wang Qianfeng frowned and asked. A high-definition projector. Your computer screen is too small. Chapter 75. The 2 of them smiled tacitly. Although Wang Lan had participated in the competition anonymously, how could he hide it from Wang Qianfeng and He Mingxue? Although they did not approve of Wang Lan participating in such a meaningless competition, since he had already participated, then let him be happy. This year's Takashi Hoshi tournament was well organized, and there were still some solid results. Moreover, Wang Lan had gradually shown his strength in the Takashi Hoshi tournament, which allowed Wang Qianfeng and He Mingxue to see how well Wang Lan had mastered the 2 A-class Takashi Hoshi technique. In the first round, He Mingxue was stunned by the vertical flame blade. Even he did not expect that the flame blade could be used in such a way. As the saying goes, the master leads the way, but the cultivation depends on the person. Takashi Hoshi techniques were like that, it depended on who used them and how they were used. Did you see that Jin Cheng's provocation just now? He Mingxue suddenly asked. He's just a piece of trash, why should I care? I checked that Jin Cheng, he's very strong. While they were talking, the projector was ready. On the wall in Wang Qianfeng's office, Jin Cheng was carrying a huge steel rod and walking over. Sure enough, he brought Xing Tian. Xing Tian? That name sounds familiar. 30 years ago, there was a very small Takashi Hoshi family in the northwest region. They were famous for forging Takashi Hoshi weapons. The weapons they forged were excellent at transmitting astral power, and their craftsmanship was not inferior to famous blacksmiths like Long Quan. 30 years ago, this Takashi Hoshi family obtained a special piece of ferrotungsten material, which was naturally formed. The Takashi Hoshi family began to forge a batch of Takashi Hoshi divine weapons, and then found a metal-type Takashi Hoshi to test the quality of the divine weapons. Unexpectedly, all of the weapons failed the appraisal. Not to mention piercing through the body of the metal-type Takashi Hoshi, The weapons were as soft as noodles. Later, he discovered that this special material could be easily manipulated by the metal-type Takashi Hoshi. The conduction of astral power was 100 times faster than that of ordinary metals. In the hands of a metal-attributed Takashi Hoshi, this material was like his own star power. Later, the Takashi Hoshi clan gave this special material to the metal-attributed Takashi Hoshi. As a result, the legendary Takashi Hoshi of the Northwest Armored Dragon was created. 10 years ago, a spatial rift appeared in the Northwest. The Northwest Armored Dragon went to war with the army and never returned. And the Northwest Armored Dragon relied on this strange piece of tungsten called heaven-conquering tungsten. What is the relationship between Jin Cheng and Northwest Jialong? He is the son of the Northwest Ankylosaurus. He was deprived of his Takashi Hoshi benefits because he refused to join the army. He was the descendant of a martyr. If he joined the army, he would receive extra care and compensation from the country. But he has always been brooding over his father's death. After his father's death, the country has always been taking care of him. Otherwise, where would he get the soul orbs to increase his star power, and why would he be able to enter the training field for free? The country took care of him for 10 years, but in return, he treated him like this. It's chilling to say. Although I don't like him, I have to say that he is very strong. His star power is at the peak of star glory. He received combat training from experts in the army. He participated in the training field, and he also has the same metal attribute as his father. With the help of heaven-conquering tungsten, Wang Lan won't have a good time against him. He only cares about his own grudges. He doesn't have the slightest awareness of being a Takashi Hoshi. Moreover, he is an idiot who can't tell right from wrong. His father died in battle, not at the hands of the Northwest Army. He should feel honored for his father. Such a person is trash in my eyes. If Wang Lan can't beat him, what? That means he's worse than trash. Wang Lan is a genius, but he can't beat Jin Cheng. He Mingxu aside as he crossed his arms. You think that kid doesn't have it? You mean the phoenix form? Old Wang, I can guarantee that even if Wang Lan is beaten to death, he won't use his phoenix form on this occasion. That kid looks humble, but his heart is very proud. As long as it's not a big deal, he won't do such a thing. The host's emotional speech came to an end, and the match began with a whistle. Suddenly, Jin Cheng put down the tungsten on his back and put it in front of him. The tungsten instantly squirmed like water. Jin Cheng's Takashi Hoshi technique is unprecedented. We all know that Jin Cheng is a metal attribute Takashi Hoshi and can manipulate metal. But metal itself is extremely hard, so it can't be manipulated as easily as water or earth. But in the hands of Jin Cheng, the tungsten can be manipulated as easily as water. Jin City's contestants' control over the metal attribute star power had already reached such an unimaginable level? It's amazing. Whoosh! Suddenly, the tungsten wall in front of him shot out several steel cones. Behind the steel cones there was a thin iron chain. The iron chain was connected to the tungsten wall in front of Jin Cheng, and Jin Cheng's hand was pressed on the wall. Seeing this, Wang Lan instantly judged the way Jin Cheng manipulated the tungsten. Metal attribute Takashi Hoshi couldn't manipulate metal remotely, just like earth attribute Takashi Hoshi. Most of them had to be in contact with earth attribute materials. Earth attribute materials were everywhere, but metal attribute materials were not easy to find in the wilderness. Therefore, metal attribute Takashi Hoshi who couldn't elementalize their bodies would carry iron blocks with them. Wang Lan knew this, but he didn't expect Jin Cheng to be able to manipulate metal to such an extent. Just by raising his hand, a sharp attack was already in front of him. Wang Lan instantly pulled out Ghost Weep. Unexpectedly, he didn't choose to dodge. Instead, his body flashed and he cut off several tentacle-like chains. Since Jin Cheng could control metal flexibly, as long as his hand didn't leave the tungsten wall, The chains would chase after him like living creatures. Once he started to dodge, he would be trapped under the chain's continuous strangulation. Dang dang. With two crisp sounds, the chains were blocked by Wang Lan, but the expected situation of the chains breaking didn't happen. The chain, which seemed to be only as thin as a thumb, was surprisingly hard. After confirming the hardness of the tungsten, Wang Lan changed his strategy. The chains fell from the sky and bombarded Wang Lan. Wang Lan's body flashed and scattered easily. Boom! The chains pierced deeply into the cement floor, splashing a cloud of smoke and dust. Wang Lan's body brought out a series of phantoms, quickly approaching Jin Qing. Under Jin Qing's control, the chains chased after him like a stream of light. Wang Lan's phantom-like body movement and the powerful Takashi Hoshi technique, Nebula Dance, couldn't get rid of the chains. Jin Qing was obviously a metal attribute melee warrior, but he played a set of mage-like long-range attack ability. This was definitely a weirdo among metal attribute Takashi Hoshi, a weirdo among weirdos. Every second was a dance between life and death. Every moment of the scene was a moment of crisis. The audience at the scene all clenched their fists tightly, staring at the thrilling chase in the field without blinking. Compared to the battle with Lan Dai, although there was less of an overwhelming sense of oppression, the speed and thrill of this battle were not any less. Even the audience of Takashi Hoshi backstage looked solemn. They were all thinking about a question. If they were in Wang Lan's position, would they be able to avoid Jin Qing's sharp attacks? In the end, everyone shook their heads silently. Too fast, too strong, and too unbeatable. An agile warrior shook his head silently. The weakness of metal attribute Takashi Hoshi is speed. As long as you can break through their defense, you can basically win. But if you encounter someone like Jin Qing, you can't even get close to him. How can you break through his defense? Unless the attack range is farther than Jin Qing's. Not really. There is another kind of Takashi Hoshi assassin who has stealth skills. But at least Wolf Cub doesn't have stealth skills, nor does he have long-range attacks. Wolf Cub will be defeated in this battle. Not necessarily. Brother Qi Ming, what do you think? Have you forgotten that Wang Lan is a fire attribute Takashi Hoshi? Fire counters metal. That depends on what kind of metal it is. Jin Qing controls tungsten. Only a fire of at least 5,000 degrees can restrain tungsten. What a freak. How can he control metal so quickly and so flexibly? What the hell? What the hell? With this kind of strength and ability, he would have been heavily nurtured as a talent. Why would he participate in the Takashi Hoshi tournament? What are he and Wolf Cub thinking? Maybe what we're pursuing is nothing in their eyes. The analysis of the contestants backstage was naturally recorded by the organizers. Soon, these analyses would become the material of the show, whetting the audience's appetite to death. While the backstage analysis was going on, Wang Lan had used Dance of Nebula to get close to Jin Qing. Wang Lan had no intention of hiding his intentions from the beginning. Even the audience could see it. When Wang Lan was about 4 or 5 meters away from Jin Qing suddenly sneered and gave him a thumbs up. It was a clear echo of the scene at the beginning of the draw. Wow, is he that arrogant? The audience exclaimed. At this moment, more than a dozen chains rushed out of the tungsten wall. They were as fast as arrows and instantly arrived in front of Wang Lan. Not good. Many audience members subconsciously covered their eyes. In Wang Qianfeng's office, Wang Qianfeng and He Mingxue held their breath. The speed of this attack was too fast. Obviously, judging from Wang Lan's previous intentions, Wang Lan did not realize that there were only a few chains that could be shot out of the tungsten wall. If he had been unprepared before, the probability of him losing the match would have been as high as 90%. Suddenly, Wang Lan's body stepped vertically on the empty space beside him. It was as if he was a needle on a clock, rotating 180 degrees. The chains that shot out almost brushed past Wang Lan. Suddenly, Wang Lan stretched out his hand and a blue flame shot out from his palm. The flaming blade swept past and the 5 chains were cut in half. The broken parts were bright red and shiny. Wow! Sure enough, Little Wolf still used the flaming blade. In the backstage, a person said faintly with his arms crossed. No, this is tungsten iron. Even the blue flame can't cut the chains in an instant, right? Maybe the temperature of Little Wolf's blue flame is many times higher than we imagined. Old Wang, quickly replay. He Mingxue shouted excitedly. What are you doing? We are deciding the winner. Don't worry about it, quickly replay. The scene of Wang Lan using the flaming blade would be shown. Zoom in again. Play it at 30 times the speed. Soon, the shape of the flaming blade appeared on the screen. It turned out that although the flaming blade was a blue flame blade, its shape had turned into a sawtooth. Moreover, the sawtooth was moving so fast that it could not be seen even if it was slowed down by 30 times. F***CK. How did this monster control the flaming blade to such a fine degree? Is this a Takashi Hoshi attribute transformation technique or a Takashi Hoshi transformation technique? Chapter 76. You're asking me? Wang Qianfeng picked his ears and glanced at He Mingxue with disdain. Didn't you teach him the flaming blade? You have the face to ask me? He Mingxue held back for a long time, but he was unable to refute. When Wang Lan cut the iron chain, Jin Cheng's face finally changed. He quickly controlled the tungsten steel wall to rise and protect himself, and this move, in Wang Lan's eyes, was a very standard mistake. The best defense was offense. Jin Cheng actually chose to retreat when Wang Lan approached instead of launching another attack to force him back. When Jin Cheng made this choice, he was destined to lose. How could Wang Lan miss this opportunity? His figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of Jin Cheng's tungsten steel wall. The flaming blade ruthlessly pierced into the tungsten steel wall. Not good. Wang Qianfeng was so anxious that he immediately jumped up. How can Wang Lan be so stupid? Jin Cheng is not wrapped in tungsten steel. Your blade can't pierce Jin Cheng. On the other hand, Jin Cheng can instantly launch a counterattack. Jin Cheng made the mistake of letting Wang Lan get closer, but Wang Lan actually made a mistake that was even more stupid than Jin Cheng. Simply stupid. Besides Wang Qianfeng, Jin Cheng also had this idea. Although the flaming blade pierced through the tungsten steel, it was still far away from him. Jin Cheng smiled. He had seen people looking for death, but he had never seen someone like you. But when Jin Cheng just put his hand on the tungsten steel, a shrill scream rang out. Although the tungsten steel was still pitch black, the temperature of the tungsten steel had reached more than 200 degrees. Everyone was baffled by this scene. The judges on the stage, the Takashi Hoshi players backstage, and the host on the side of the stage. What's going on? I understand now. The thermal conductivity of ferrotungsten is more than 5 times that of steel. Although it has a high melting point and is not easy to melt, it can be heated at a high temperature so that it can't even touch ferrotungsten. Now I understand what fire restrains metal means. It turns out that there isn't only one way for fire to restrain metal. Metal itself has a high thermal conductivity. If you heat up metal, even if a metal-type Takashi Hoshi hides in a metal shell, it will only be blown up by a fire-type Takashi Hoshi like popcorn. After the bespectacled student finished his explanation, the surrounding onlookers suddenly revealed a look of understanding. The young man gently pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose. This was the wisdom of a science man. Boom! Wang Lan kicked away the tungsten and walked towards Gold City step by step. The flame saber in his hands emitted a threatening green flame. As Wang Lan approached, Jin Cheng's eyes flashed with fear. He knew about Wang Lan's close combat strength. Jin Cheng had repeatedly watched Wang Lan's videos and knew that he was no match for him in terms of combat skills. Wang Lan was a fire-type Takashi Hoshi and was proficient in the flame saber. Once he was approached, he would lose without a doubt. He had thought about using a metal-type armor before, but after the experience of the tungsten being heated, he instantly thought that even if he wrapped himself into an iron ball, he would still be burned by the flame. To resist the heat of the flame, he had to reach the point of elementalization. But, if Jin Cheng had this ability, why would he participate in the Takashi Hoshi Challenge tournament? I admit defeat. Wang Lan hadn't made a move yet, but Jin Cheng suddenly took the initiative to admit defeat. Wang Lan wasn't the only one who didn't understand this scene. Even the host was a little confused. That, contestant Jin Cheng, what did you say just now? You admit defeat? Yes, I admit defeat. My attributes are restrained by him. Anyway, I can't beat him, so I admit defeat. F***ck. You were so arrogant just now, but now you're a coward. Do you have to be so realistic? Damn, although I also think you can't beat Little Wolf, I thought you would at least struggle a little. Do you have to be so cowardly? The audience in the stands suddenly became rowdy, and they all made the same gesture that Jin Cheng made before. It was like giving Jin Cheng a taste of his own medicine. The atmosphere in Wang Qianfeng's office was dead silent. After a long time, He Mingxue let out a long breath. Old Wang, does your face hurt? What face hurts? Wang Qianfeng was panting like a cow, and he stared at He Mingxue murderously. What face hurts? Who said just now that Wang Lan's move was extremely stupid? But in my opinion, this step is exquisite beyond compare. Using the temperature of the flame to restrain the metal-type Takashi Hoshi, I can't believe he thought of it. As expected of a good student, he used the knowledge he learned flexibly. What are you so proud of? Didn't you not think of it before? I've used it before, just not in that kind of situation. As for why I'm so proud, Flaming Blade was taught by me. I feel that Wang Lan's Flaming Blade is better than the Nebula Sword Dance. Is it an illusion? That's strange. After the competition, He Mingxue naturally should leave. He stood up leisurely, stretched and talked to himself smugly. Oh, I'm so lucky. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. He Mingxue felt an angry beast emitting a strong murderous aura behind him. He Mingxue, you dare to act cool in front of me? Go to the field and let me have a taste of you. Aren't you being unreasonable? Wang Lan's Flaming Blade is good, which means that he's suitable for it. Do you think I'm like you? You obviously have a good Takashi Hoshi technique, but you sent him away with a trashy Nebula Sword Dance? Trashy Takashi Hoshi technique? Damn, that's my ancestral Takashi Hoshi technique. I gave him all my trump cards and you say it's trashy? He Mingxue, don't you dare run. I'll kill you. Two figures broke through the window and ran wildly inside the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Contestant Jin Cheng admitted defeat. Contestant Little Wolf has successfully advanced to the top 7 of the 5th round. Let us congratulate contestant Little Wolf with a warm round of applause. Let us also send off contestant Jin Cheng with a warm round of applause. Shu successfully advanced to the 5th round. The reward is 3,000 experience points and 250 skill points. When the host finished speaking, the system's voice sounded in Wang Lan's mind. You're the 250. Next, let's move on to the last match of the 4th round. The last match was very fast. In less than 10 minutes, one contestant was defeated by the opponent's absolute strength. After all 6 rounds of the competition, it was time for the 5th round of the lottery. The prize for the 5th round was 400,000. Those who were selected to advance to the top 4 were definitely the lucky ones. Soon, the results of the 4th round were out. The winner was a Takashi Hoshi called Xing Feng. He was also a popular candidate for the championship. At least 2-star martial artists backstage could not help but secretly let out a sigh of relief when they saw that he had been given a bye. Then came the next round of the competition. There were 3 groups in total. Wang Lan was matched with an Earth-type Takashi Hoshi. Hu Qing was matched with Chang Shuangyue. Wang Lan still couldn't tell where Chang Shuangyue's true strength lay. In any case, Chang Shuangyue's victories were almost always a one-sided affair. Hu Qing is going to have a tough battle. After Wang Lan left, the live broadcast on the TV and the internet happened to be showing Wang Lan and Jin Cheng's match. Little Wolf, go. Kill him. Yeah. You saw the hand signal he gave you backstage, right? I wouldn't be able to take it if it was me. Damn, what's that thing on his back? That's a fast train? Is he going to forge a weapon on the spot? Who cares what he's going to do? An agile warrior against a stacked tank. No matter how you look at it, he'll definitely win. Brother Little Wolf, go for it. The girl above, don't run. The competition officially began. Jin Cheng's sharp attacks instantly flooded the screen. In an instant, the entire online video's bullet screen actually cleared up. After a full 30 seconds of dead silence, a burst of bullet comments suddenly exploded. Damn, that's a tank? You're telling me that's a tank? Yes, that's a tank. But it's from Cybertron. Isn't that long-range attack too sharp? Even a mage would cry. No wonder he dares to provoke Little Wolf despite knowing how strong he is. He has something in his hands. In order to prevent accidental injuries, the person above, please stand firm. My 30-meter-long sword is already half drawn. Something my ass. If he wasn't carrying this coffin board, Little Wolf would be able to do whatever he wants. The brainless fan above is exaggerating too much. Jin Cheng's ability to control metal should be at the top of the world. As of now, I've never seen a metal-type Takashi Hoshi who can control metal to such an extent. Jin Cheng is very strong. Little Wolf is also very strong. Everyone, please exercise restraint. Don't post any bullet screen. It's affecting our viewing of the competition. Can't you just King turn off the bullet screen? Also, don't post it. In the midst of the commotion, Wang Lan successfully infiltrated in front of Jin Cheng. The sharp flaming sword cut through the chain. His graceful movements immediately caused the female wolf to howl. Too handsome, how can he be so handsome? Auntie can't hold it in anymore. Auntie, please be reserved. If you can't hold it in, you can message me privately. The more intense the competition, the more the traffic on the internet exploded. Many keyboard warriors' minds were no longer on the competition. Their source of pleasure was the battle of words on the internet. When Wang Lan used the high temperature of the flame to perfectly break Jin Cheng's metal control, the bullet screen was filled with 666. This guy is definitely a top student. He must be a science guy. Idiot, didn't you learn about the thermal conductivity of tungsten steel in high school? As long as you're not a primary school student, you should know. You think you can? In such a situation, you can still think of high school knowledge? If you were in this situation, you wouldn't know how to do addition and subtraction within 10, right? That's right. In such a high-intensity battle, all the brain's load would be placed on the ability to move and dodge. Little Wolf must be very calm at that time to think of using thermal conductivity to win. F***CK. Could it be that he doesn't feel any threat from Jin Cheng? Also, Jin Cheng gave him a thumbs up in public. Is Little Wolf not angry at all? How can he still be so calm and make a desperate counterattack? You are all amateurs, so you don't understand. Being absolutely calm during a battle is a necessary quality for a Takashi Hoshi on the battlefield. Those who can't keep calm are all dead. What? A Takashi Hoshi will die? What? A Takashi Hoshi will go to the battlefield? What? Is the Takashi Hoshi world so cruel? A string of bullet screen comments made some Takashi Hoshi keyboard warriors want to cry but have no tears. Are we protecting the world too well or what? Do you all think human civilization is so safe and peaceful? There is no such thing as a peaceful world, no such thing as a peaceful era. A peaceful world, a peaceful era, is because you were born in a peaceful and powerful country. If you try it in another small country, I guarantee you don't know if you can live past tomorrow. Damn. You're so scared. Damn, where's the courage you had when you gave him a thumbs up? You're actually scared? Jean Cheng, in this battle, I respect you as a man, but in this second, I take back my words. When the video played to the scene where Jean Cheng was unwilling to give it his all and directly raised his hand to admit defeat, the online comments section instantly exploded. Chapter 77. Director Min, the ratings for this episode have broken 4%. In this era where the internet was so advanced that most people had not watched TV for many years, breaking 4% in the ratings was already a very impressive result. At least, none of the shows that Min Jian had been interested in the past few years had broken 4%. What about the online broadcasts? The first broadcast was 60 million. If there are no accidents, it will break 100 million by tomorrow morning. Not bad. There are only 2 episodes left. On Friday, the top 7 will compete, and on Sunday, the final battle will determine the champion. Although we have already achieved a partial victory, we still can't let our guard down. When the Takashi Hoshi competition comes to a perfect end, I'll give each of you a big package. I'll pay for it personally. Director Min is awesome. Director Min is awesome. As Little Wolf's popularity grew, he gradually became a national idol. The Takashi Hoshi competition increased Little Wolf's popularity, and Little Wolf's consistent performance as usual increased the popularity of the Takashi Hoshi competition. The two complemented each other. Wang Lan also felt that he was becoming more and more like a wall. Sometimes, he would be in a daze and wonder if he was Wang Lan or Little Wolf. It was as if after putting on the mask, Wang Lan became a different person. Usually, Wang Lan went to school like an old dog. Sometimes, he would put on an act and discuss the Takashi Hoshi competition with his classmates, arguing about who would be the champion. Every time Jiang Xinyu saw this scene, she could not help but cover her face. In the past, she really did not realize that Wang Lan could be so good at pretending. During the break between classes, her phone rang. Jiang Xinyu quietly stood up and walked out of the classroom. "What's the matter?" "Miss, the organizers just called me. There's an agency that wants to unlock Little Wolf's information. They're offering 10 million. Are we short of money?" "No, miss. Even if we're not short of money, it's still a small amount, right? 10 million to buy Little Wolf's information, this is a good deal." "Yes. If Little Wolf's real information is leaked, you should run away. It's best if you go overseas." "Ah! It's settled then. Go to the central computer and delete Little Wolf's registration form, and completely destroy it. Wolf Cub's information would never be leaked. Do you understand?" "Understood. Class is about to start. I'm hanging up." It was Friday and the lights were on. Wang Lan took the subway and followed the flow of people to the vicinity of Sioux City's television station. He went to a hidden corner and quietly put on his mask. Just as she was about to head to the TV station, she heard a familiar voice. "Brother Lang, let's all bet. I'm confident in my strength." "Are you sure?" "I'm afraid you're the only one in the world who's confident, right? But forget it. Since you're so confident, let me tell you something. Once you've made your decision, leave. I understand, but you can't cheat me." "Eh? Do you think that I, Brother Lang, made up my name? My brother Lang roams the Jianghu, relying on principles, loyalty, and having many brothers. If you didn't believe me, you wouldn't have come looking for me. Besides, I wouldn't dare to trick a Takashi Hoshi, right?" "Okay." Hu Qing turned around and waved her hand. She happened to see Wang Lan standing not too far away, wearing a moon-white mask. Hu Qing strode over. "You're here? You and him. What kind of deal did you make?" Wang Lan frowned. Although he didn't hear the whole thing, he had a rough guess. "Nothing. Let's go. The competition is about to start." Wang Lan hadn't known Hu Qing for a long time. Such a short time wasn't enough for Hu Qing and Wang Lan to develop a deep friendship. But at least from Wang Lan's point of view, Hu Qing was a good person. In particular, someone had offered 3 million for Wang Lan's real identity. This price tag was known to all the contestants in the Takashi Hoshi tournament. Especially in the past 2 days, after Wang Lan left the TV station, many Takashi Hoshi secretly followed him. However, Wang Lan used Xiao AI's camera and his nimble movements to shake them off. There was no reason for Hu Qing not to know. As the only person who knew Wang Lan's real identity, it was easy for him to get the 3 million. But until now, Wang Lan's identity had not been exposed. Back then, Wang Lan didn't expect that he would suddenly become popular, so he exchanged his real identity with Hu Qing. Hu Qing was short on money, but he could protect Wang Lan's identity. This showed that Hu Qing was also a person with principles and a bottom line. Therefore, Wang Lan didn't want to see Hu Qing go down the wrong path. Since I was young, I knew that there was only one ending to gambling, and that was eternal damnation. Actually, many people know this, but it's just like cigarettes that can't be quit. You've already fallen into it and can't see any hope. Every day counts. But cigarettes only hurt you, while gambling hurts you and your family. Hu Qing stopped in his tracks. I know, but my sister's illness. Your sister's illness isn't the reason for your downfall. Many people want to get rich overnight, but they all know that gambling can't make them rich. The tempting money is just the bait in the trap. This might be my last battle. Hu Qing took out a pack of flattened cigarettes from his pocket. Do you know how much I used to smoke? 3 packs a day, and I had to smoke one before I went to bed at night. This pack of cigarettes was given to me by my comrade when I was discharged from the army. I smoked until now, and I still have half a pack left. It was all to save money on cigarette. For her, I even quit smoking. Originally, I wanted to win the Takashi Hoshi tournament and earn the 3 million, but after I got here, I realized that I couldn't move anymore. That day you asked me why I didn't sleep well. That night, the hospital gave my sister a notice of critical illness. She was so sensible, but she was only 10 years old. I didn't know how long I could hold on. My parents were about to give up. I couldn't hold on. I really couldn't hold on. It was a bottomless pit, a real bottomless pit. But I swore that even if she left in the end, I would use my life to keep her with me until the last second. I bet that I would win. This battle, I will definitely win. What if you lose? I won't lose. Hu Qing stared with bloodshot eyes, bursting with murderous intent. After the competition, take me to see your sister. Wang Lan said faintly. Okay. Hu Qing smiled gently. Let's go. Recently, there have been fans looking for you everywhere outside the TV station. I don't understand. They don't even know what you look like. Why do they like you so much? Maybe it's because of my sense of mystery. Dear friends in the live audience and friends in front of the TV. Under your endless calls, the 3rd season of Sioux City's Star Martial Arts Tournament, the battle between the top 7 has officially begun. This time, the tournament will be broadcasted live. There will be no delay, no editing. What the audience in front of the TV is watching is what is happening right now. This program is produced by Jiangpin Entertainment and the host said several hundred words in one breath, and the advertisement was completed in 1 minute. Okay, now please turn the camera to the preparation area backstage. Tonight there will be 3 rounds of matches. 3 kings will challenge the next round of the Takashi Hoshi tournament. Look at the sky, clouds move in all directions. With a sword in hand, who will be the hero in the world? Let's wait and see who can stand in this ring until the end and become the champion of the 3rd season of the Takashi Hoshi tournament. Let's welcome the contestants of the first round, the 8-armed fast swordsman, Hu Qing, and our Iron Ridge King Kong, Chang Shuangyue. Under the exciting background music, Hu Qing walked into the ring with a dignified face. He couldn't lose this battle. Chang Shuangyue was a powerful tank-type warrior with unparalleled defense and unparalleled strength. But for a Takashi Hoshi with outstanding defense and strength, speed would be a corresponding shortcoming. But Chang Shuangyue gave people the feeling that he had no shortcoming. His punches didn't seem to be fast, but that was because his amazing defense and strength had blocked out the light. His punches were no slower than any of the contestants in this competition. Even Hu Qing's punches were only a little faster than Chang Shuangyue's. Chang Shuangyue's Takashi Hoshi talent seemed to be his body. When his Takashi Hoshi skills were activated, his skin would turn red, and in this red state, his physical defense could be said to be abnormal. Wang Lan had seen a match with his own eyes. A Takashi Hoshi with wind attribute used wind attribute cutting in an attempt to break his defense. But in the end, the wind attribute, which had the strongest cutting power, couldn't even cut through his skin. Takashi Hoshi with the physical talent was also a very large category of Takashi Hoshi. Some people would produce partial beastification when they used Takashi Hoshi skills. It was unknown whether the beast-like part of human genes had been activated or something else, but biologists still couldn't explain this beastification ability. In Wang Lan's opinion, this was a strong opponent who hadn't exposed his shortcomings so far. On the contrary, Wang Lan had already discovered Hu Qing's shortcomings. In the competition, admitting defeat, being knocked down, and being kicked out of the ring are all considered losses. I'll say it again. Victory and defeat are commonplace in a battle. Don't force yourself to fight because of personal feelings. Do you two understand? Understood. Shut up. Then, camera in position, barrier up, match start. The moment the whistle sounded, Hu Qing changed his usual style. He didn't immediately approach his opponent. Instead, he suddenly put his hands on the ground. In an instant, countless earth spikes pierced out of the arena. F***CK. I didn't know Hu Qing was an earth attribute Takashi Hoshi? I always thought he was a grappling Takashi Hoshi. Don't say you didn't know. Actually, I didn't know either. It seems like Hu Qing hasn't used any earth attribute Takashi Hoshi skills since the start of the competition, right? The two above didn't watch the last episode, did they? Hu Qing's narrow victory was due to his earth attribute Takashi Hoshi skills. His opponent that time was the one who was wrong. He thought victory was in his hands, but he didn't expect Hu Qing to suddenly use his earth attribute Takashi Hoshi skills to catch him off guard. He made a mistake and fell out of the ring. If it weren't for his opponent's mistake, Hu Qing would have advanced to the top 13, let alone the top 7. The ring was made of concrete, so the earth spikes were naturally made of cement. How could the hardness of cement be compared to ordinary soil? However, the earth spikes were as fragile as flour under Chang Shuangyue's fist. It was as if they would shatter at the slightest touch and explode at the slightest pinch. Countless earth spikes surrounded Chang Shuangyue like a forest. Suddenly, Chang Shuangyue activated his red skin mode and instantly rushed toward Hu Qing like a tank. The dust in the air was like a thick fog. Not to mention the audience, even the host, who was closest to the stage, couldn't see what was happening. Chapter 78. A cloud of smoke rushed out of the dust like a dragon, retreating all the way to the edge of the ring. At that moment, Chang Shuangyue's skin had turned red, and his muscles were bulging like balloons. His face was ferocious, and his veins were bulging. Smoke and dust filled the arena. Chang Shuangyue's brutal eyes stared coldly at the smoke and dust in the arena. Suddenly, a green figure dashed out from the top of the smoke. Hu Qing's lean figure broke through the dust cloud like a streak of light, and arrived above Chang Shuangyue's head in an instant. Hu Qing's entire arm was covered in a layer of gray-white rock. Covering his arm with rock not only increased the protection of his arm, but also increased the strength of his fist. But this kind of enhancement wasn't very effective. No matter how thick the rock was, could it compare to the metal armor of a metal-type Takashi Hoshi? Hu Qing descended from the sky and punched Chang Shuangyue in the chest. Dong, with a muffled sound, a visible ripple spread out from Hu Qing's fist in an instant. Wang Lan's eyes lit up at this scene. Gravity punch! It's definitely the gravity punch. This Hu Qing hid his strength well. He actually mastered the advanced use of the Earth-type Takashi Hoshi technique. Backstage, the remaining 4 people were amazed. The Earth-type was weaker than the Metal-type in both defense and attack. But the Earth-type had a special characteristic that the Metal-type didn't, and that was the control of gravity. Any object with mass should have a gravitational force. The greater the mass, the stronger the gravitational force. But this was especially special in the world of Takashi Hoshi. Metal was supposed to have a much higher mass than Earth, but only the Earth-type could derive the control of gravity and perform the gravity punch. So far, there was no precedent for the Metal-type to derive gravity. Hu Qing could perform the gravity punch, which meant that his damage output was beyond the bounds of common sense. It wasn't impossible for him to smash a tank with a single punch. Boom! With a loud bang, under Hu Qing's gravity punch, Chang Shuangyue fell backwards onto the arena. The dust beneath him was stirred up once again. Hu Qing's arm, which was covered in rocks, suddenly turned even greener, and spiritual energy surged out of his body. Boom! With a loud bang, the cement ring under Chang Shuangyue was shattered by a wave of air. The entire ring collapsed under Hu Qing's punch. The audience at the scene all opened their mouths wide and were dumbfounded, smashing a 5-meter-wide pit in the arena, causing the cement arena to collapse? Just how much strength did that punch contain? Not to mention the audience, even the judges and the host fell into a short silence. However, the audience watching the live broadcast was the first to react. Oh my God, this Hu Qing is the one who's pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, right? Let me calculate. The thickness of the cement arena is 1 meter. How hard is it again? Don't make a fuss. Smashing such a pit in the cement arena is definitely the effect of a rocket. That's right. Let alone a person, even a tank would be smashed into a discus by this punch. If this punch hits me, I promise I'll become one with the land of my motherland. The kind that can't be peeled off. The comments section of the live broadcast exploded in an instant. Hu Qing, on the other hand, was sweating profusely and gasping for breath as he climbed down from Chang Shuangyue's body. Looking at the motionless Chang Shuangyue under him, Hu Qing showed a victorious smile. I said I would win. Hu Qing turned around and signaled to the host with his eyes. Ahem. The host coughed softly. This is too shocking. I didn't expect contestant Hu Qing to hide such a powerful Takashi Hoshi skill. At the most critical moment, he put on a shocking performance for us. Chang Shuangyue has fallen to the ground and can't get up. I now announce. Wait. Chang Shuangyue has stood up again. What? Hu Qing turned around abruptly. As expected, Chang Shuangyue slowly stood up with bloodshot eyes. F***ck, is he still human? I thought it was a miracle that he wasn't crushed. But this monster can still stand up? I suggest we take him to the Science Research Institute right away for research. Suggest my ass. The academicians of the Science Research Institute are on their way here. How is that possible? Hu Qing stared at Chang Shuangyue, who had stood up again, in disbelief. That was the gravity punch. It was the gravity punch that he had risked everything to perform. In the past, he had relied on this punch to kill a Nebula Realm Beast commander with a single punch. Even tanks and armored vehicles couldn't withstand this punch. Hu Qing, admit defeat. You don't have any astral power left, Wang Lan suddenly yelled from backstage. No, I can't admit defeat. I can't lose. Hu Qing came back to his senses and forced himself to summon astral power. His arm glowed green again. But this time, the speed at which he summoned astral power was too slow. It was so slow that it was unbearable to watch. It was even slower than someone who had just awakened the Takashi Hoshi talent. Before he could activate the Takashi Hoshi skill, Chang Shuangyue raised his hand and slapped Hu Qing hard on the cheek. Hu Qing's expression changed. He was about to dodge when he felt a sharp pain in his foot. His body froze on the spot for a second. Bang! Chang Shuangyue slapped Hu Qing hard on the face. Hu Qing flew backward like a bug. He fell to the ground and rolled for more than 10 meters before he stopped. Hu Qing's mind was in a trance. He struggled to calm his head, and his consciousness had just returned to his body. Just as he was about to get up, Chang Shuangyue came to Hu Qing's side. With a ferocious sneer on his face, he stepped on Hu Qing's back. Chang Shuangyue raised his huge fist and punched the back of Hu Qing's head. Boom! With a loud bang, Hu Qing's face hit the hard cement floor. Cracks appeared on the cement floor, and the violent impact instantly caused Hu Qing to fall into a coma. Hu Qing lost. Xing Feng sighed with his arms crossed backstage. Hu Qing has the ability to win the championship. Unfortunately, he met a monster like Chang Shuangyue. Yeah, he can take such a strong gravity punch. Is he still human? Originally, he thought that Chang Shuangyue would stop after the first punch, but he did not expect Chang Shuangyue to raise his fist again. Boom! This punch woke up Hu Qing, who was in a coma. But this time, it was only his perception that woke him up. His consciousness fell into a deeper fuzziness. Chang Shuangyue, what are you doing? You've already won. Wang Lan jumped up and shouted from backstage. Won? This guy hasn't admitted defeat yet, has he? If he hasn't, I'll keep fighting. Chang Shuangyue stepped on Hu Qing's back with one foot and punched the back of Hu Qing's head with both fists. Punch after punch, there was no hesitation. This bloody scene scared the audience. They couldn't bear to watch anymore. Hu Qing's face was completely blurred. Blood dyed the cement in front of him red. His consciousness seemed to be falling. Finally, the only thing in front of him was his sister's lovely and happy face. Fei Fei. I'm sorry I lost. Stop, do you want to kill someone? Wang Lan shouted again. Chang Shuangyue, please stop. The host reacted immediately and stopped him. Chang Shuangyue still raised his fist high. Chang Shuangyue, if you continue to attack Hu Qing, you will be disqualified from the competition. The fist stopped above Hu Qing's head. All of these images were clearly transmitted to the eyes of every viewer watching the live broadcast. But the camera was a long shot, so the audience didn't see the bloody scene. But even if they didn't see the details, they were still shocked by Chang Shuangyue's cruelty. The whole venue could hear the sound of the punch. Every sound was like a knock on the audience's heart. It's too cruel, but it's very real, isn't it? This is a battle between Takashi Hoshi. They are ruthless and merciless. They don't give their opponents a chance to turn the tables. But this is a competition. Is he really going to kill someone? Hu Qing was obviously unconscious after the first punch. And he didn't even need to punch. When Chang Shuangyue stepped on Hu Qing's back, Hu Qing had already lost. According to the rules of the competition, Hu Qing would have died in a real fight. So Chang Shuangyue shouldn't have been so ruthless. But Chang Shuangyue didn't break the rules. He was too ruthless. Even if he won the championship, he could only be the villain. Hu Qing is so pitiful. He's so skinny. Upstairs, I'm also very pitiful. I'm even skinnier than Hu Qing. Please take care of me. Hu Qing was carried off the stage. Wang Lan hurriedly rushed out of the backstage to meet Hu Qing. When he saw Hu Qing, Wang Lan couldn't recognize Hu Qing. He felt like he was a bloody piece of meat. Contestant Little Wolf, please step aside. We need to send him to Takashi Hoshi for treatment. He's seriously injured. It'll be too late if we wait any longer. I'm also a Takashi Hoshi. Wang Lan pressed his hand on Hu Qing's face. He didn't care whether it hurt or not. It was better than losing his life. Hu Qing's fatal injury was a heavy blow to his head. Chang Shuangyue's punches had cracked Hu Qing's skull. If it weren't for Takashi Hoshi's superhuman vitality, Hu Qing would have been dead by now. Under the surging of Wang Lan's astral power, Hu Qing's face, which had been smashed into a pulp, quickly recovered. Even his brain tissue, which had been severely damaged, was quickly repaired by the astral power. When it came to Takashi Hoshi's healing skills, Wang Lan's healing skills were definitely at the level of a bug. In just a dozen seconds, Hu Qing looked much better except for the blood on his face. However, his head injury was fatal, and there were other injuries all over his body. Just as Wang Lan was about to continue the treatment, the broadcast on the stage sounded. Contestants Little Wolf and Wu Xiao, please come on stage. Hu Qing, wait for me. I'll be right back. Wang Lan didn't care whether Hu Qing could hear him or not. He hurriedly ran backstage to wash his hands and rushed to the stage. Should we send him to the infirmary? Send him there, he's covered in blood. He should at least be cleaned up. Wang Lan and Wu Xiao opposite him walked onto the stage amidst the cheers of the audience and the intense background music. Dear audience, the second round of the top 7 competition is about to begin. I'm sure you've been eagerly waiting for it for a long time, right? That's right, the second contestant will be Little Wolf, the most popular and most mysterious contestant in the 3rd season of Takashi Hoshi. He made a name for himself with a stunning performance in the preliminaries. Host, can you hurry up? I'm in a hurry. Wang Lan suddenly coughed softly and interrupted the host's enthusiastic speech. Chapter 79. As soon as this was said, it was also transmitted to the ears of every TV and online video viewer through the live broadcast. I'm in a hurry? 666. Although he didn't say anything domineering, why did his words sound so domineering? I really want to interview contestant Little Wolf right now. How can you be so sincere and polite with your words? Is this sincerity? It's obvious that Little Wolf has become complacent. He's starting to talk big. How does Wu Xiao feel when he hears that? Yes, he said that Jin Cheng's character was not good. Now that he looks at Little Wolf, he's so arrogant. To the 2 ignorant haters above, Little Wolf and Hu Qing are friends. Didn't you see that Little Wolf rushed out from backstage when Hu Qing was seriously injured? Now that Hu Qing is in the emergency room, Little Wolf must be very worried. Emergency treatment is the doctor's job. The organizer has a medical Takashi Hoshi, so there's nothing Little Wolf can do even if he's worried. What he said might be thoughtless. Even if he's worried, he should pay attention to the situation. Well, contestant Little Wolf, do you have anything important to say? Mr. Qin, the judge on the stage, asked calmly. I only gave Hu Qing a preliminary treatment backstage, just now to stabilize his life. However, I still have to continue to treat his injuries. I didn't think about what I said just now. Please forgive me, contestant Wu Xiao. Wu Xiao's mouth twitched. The question now is whether I'll forgive you or not. Is it because of your true heart that you treat me like a piece of vegetable? Do you think that you can beat me in a hurry? I'm an all-rounder at the peak of the Star Glory realm, okay? Although I'm not strong when facing weak opponents, I'm not weak when facing strong opponents either. Otherwise, how could I have made it to the top 7? You're underestimating me, aren't you? You want to kill Hua Xiong with warm wine, right? Alright, I'll see how you're going to be in a hurry later. What? You're a medical Takashi Hoshi? Xiao Bao, who was among the judges, stood up abruptly. Yes, Wang Lan said calmly. Can we begin? Let's begin. Director Min's voice suddenly sounded from the speakers. Begin. The host said immediately after receiving the order. However, the moment the host announced the start of the match, Wang Lan's body suddenly turned into a stream of light and shot toward Wu Xiao. Wu Xiao gently collapsed to the ground, and the ground of the ring instantly became densely packed with crisscrossing cement spikes. Hu Qing had done the same thing in the previous match. The earth element Takashi Hoshi could change the terrain and use it to restrict the opponent's movement. Therefore, 9 out of 10 earth element Takashi Hoshi players would use the same strategy the moment they launched their attack. The tricks were no longer the same as before. At the very least, Wang Lan was an agility-based warrior. This move could effectively restrict Wang Lan's mobility. However, didn't Wang Lan admit that he was a Takashi Hoshi? Was this milk? Since when did a healer become a damage dealer? In an instant, the bullet screen flew everywhere. Is this the medical awakened Takashi Hoshi? Isn't this the most indecent medical awakened? Are you bragging? You don't look like a cow at all. Watch your words. A cow is still a cow. Are you looking down on us Tauren warriors? I don't think it's fake. It's completely unnecessary. Little Wolf is participating anonymously. There's no benefit in lying to us. What kind of medical awakened is this? He's just an agility-based warrior. The medical awakened must be incidental. You're asking me what kind of medical awakened this is? I'll tell you now. The healer will kill those that the archer can't kill. The healer will take on those that the tank can't. The healer will destroy those that the damage dealers can't. In short, the healer will do whatever his teammates can do. If his teammates can't do it, the healer will do it. After all, he's your daddy. F***CK. Can you stop posting bullet screen comments? It's a decisive battle. Little Wolf is killing in one move. If you miss a single shot, I'll send you some warmth. Turn off the bullet screen comments. There was an instant uproar on the internet. At the scene of the match, Wang Lan's flame blade was crisscrossing and sweeping in all directions like a cutting machine. The thorns that protruded out were like weeds that had been cut and swept across a large area. Despite Wu Xiao using all his star power to produce thorns, Wang Lan's footsteps did not change at all. Wang Lan's speed was getting faster and faster, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. On the other hand, Wu Xiao, who was standing in the same spot, did not show the fear of Wang Lan at all. Instead, he lowered his head and sneered strangely. Do you think Hu Qing is the only one who knows how to hide? Wu Xiao suddenly raised his head and star power surged around him. Water blade slash. A bright stream of water spurted out of Wu Xiao's mouth. It was so fast that it was beyond one's vision. When the white light appeared, it was already in front of Wang Lan's face. Many ordinary people would think that it was just water. How powerful could it be? Water-type Takashi Hoshi were either gentle girls or warm men who had a soft personality and soft skills. However, if one really saw a real water-type Takashi Hoshi perform a Takashi Hoshi skill, they would understand how wrong their previous understanding was. Water-type women were gentle, and water-type men were warm. However, to say that water-type Takashi Hoshi had no attack power? Most people who thought so were already dead. Water could change its form and its nature. Water could be majestic and powerful, but it could also have a terrifying impact. The speed of water could be unlimited. As long as there was no upper limit to your strength, you could give water unlimited speed. No one knew that Wu Xiao had dual attributes of earth and water. He had only used earth from the beginning to the end. No one knew how fast the water blade that Wu Xiao suddenly spurted out was. At least, it was faster than the speed of sound. Therefore, Wang Lan's chest was pierced by the water blade in an instant. He's dead. Whether it was in the stands or in front of the TV, everyone exclaimed. However, in just an instant they were horrified to see two wolf cubs in the scene. When one of them pierced through Wu Xiao's chest, the other one had already rushed 2 meters away. What? Wu Xiao was shocked at this moment. How could you dodge such a sudden water dagger? Nebula Dance? Wolf cubs used Nebula Dance and dodged Wu Xiao's hidden trump card. Hey, the judges on the stage all stood up? Why did they stand up? Could it be that what happened just now was unbelievable? However, the judges ignored the host's words. Instead, they looked at Wang Lan, who was still rapidly approaching Wu Xiao, with shock on their faces. Thorns of Earth. In an instant, countless tiny thorns of earth suddenly appeared in front of Wang Lan and formed a wall of thorns in front of Wang Lan, trying to block Wang Lan's approach. In an instant, Wang Lan's fiery sword bloomed and cut the wall of thorns in half. Water blade. The moment Wang Lan cut the wall of thorns, the water blade rushed at him again. The second time, Wang Lan used Nebula Dance to dodge the water blade. Impossible. How is this possible? Doesn't he need time to switch between Takashi Hoshi techniques? How can he do it in an instant without any time interval? Those are two Takashi Hoshi techniques. One is a change of form, and the other is a change of attribute. The two Takashi Hoshi techniques have vastly different ways of controlling star power. How can he switch them in an instant? You're not scientific, however. When this thought was fixed in his mind, Wang Lan appeared in front of Wu Xiao in an elegant way and put his hand on Wu Xiao's neck. The host looked up at the timer in surprise. The number was fixed at 30 seconds. It only took 30 seconds for the battle of the top 7 to end. How could they continue today's recording? There were only 3 matches today. 5 minutes for the first match was already very fast. They had thought that the second match with Wang Lan would last longer. Anyway, with Wang Lan's popularity, the audience would get a kick out of watching him fight a little longer. But you finished the match in 30 seconds. Are you still a man? I'm sorry, I'm really in a hurry. Wang Lan apologized sincerely and even bent down slightly. His figure flashed, and he disappeared without a trace. Where's Hu Qing? We were cleaning him, but he woke up and walked out. I saw that he was fine, so I didn't stop him. Got it. Wang Lan turned and walked out of the TV station. What an unexpected match. This result came too fast, too sudden. It's hard to believe. Contestant Wu Xiao, what do you think of this match? There wasn't enough time. The host had no choice but to stall. Otherwise, the originally 1-hour battle for the top 7 would really end in 20 minutes. I'm convinced of contestant Little Wolf's strength. I didn't expect that the trump card I had hidden up until now would be useless in front of contestant Little Wolf. Contestant Little Wolf's dodging skills were unimaginable. Therefore, I don't feel frustrated at losing to such a contestant. Instead, I feel very satisfied. I'm still lacking in too much. Contestant Little Wolf's strength is obvious to all. Teacher Xiaobao, Teacher Qin, I saw that you all jumped up in surprise. What did you see? I think both the audience and the audience are full of doubts. Cough, cough. I don't know what to say, or I'm afraid that what I say is just a joke. This is something that shouldn't have happened, but it really happened in front of us, Teacher Qin said with a face full of disbelief. It's reasonable to say that contestant Little Wolf should have lost under normal circumstances. Wow! His words caused a huge commotion. Contestant Wu Xiao's tactics were fine. His tactics, strength, and timing were all very accurate. He used the earth element to paralyze contestant Little Wolf, and then used the water knife to injure him when he least expected it. If it had been anyone else, contestant Wu Xiao's attack would have been effective. However, no one could understand why it didn't work on contestant Little Wolf. This we still don't understand. Teacher Qin, can you explain it more clearly? This involves a common sense. It's that there's a time to switch between 2 different Takashi Hoshi techniques. It's like there's a delay in switching between techniques. Contestant Little Wolf's Nebula Dance should be a transformation Takashi Hoshi technique, while Flaming Blade should be an attribute transformation technique. The fastest time to switch from an attribute transformation Takashi Hoshi technique to a transformation technique should be 0.8 seconds. Just now, contestant Wu Xiao had only used less than 0.3 seconds to hit the target from the start of the attack. However, Little Wolf easily dodged it. It could even be said that he didn't even need to waste any effort. This means that contestant Little Wolf didn't have time to switch between the 2 Takashi Hoshi techniques. Currently, no one should be able to do this. This time, everyone present understood what he meant. Wu Xiao's attack was impeccable. There was nothing wrong with the tactic. Therefore, if it had been anyone else, Wu Xiao's attack would have worked. He shouldn't have lost, but his opponent was cheating. Chapter 80. The most frustrating thing in life was not encountering a setback, but encountering an opponent who had cheated when you were sure to win. How did Wang Meng lose? Lost to Destiny's Child. How did Wu Xiao lose? He lost to Wang Lan, who was 1 in a million and probably the only monster who could switch between Takashi Hoshi techniques without needing a time interval. Everyone was looking forward to the start of the battle, but they were dumbfounded when it ended. I did some research. Turns out that Takashi Hoshi techniques have different ways of being used. It does need to be adjusted before it can be used. It takes time in between. It's like when you're eating, you have to put down your bowl and chopsticks before you go to wash your clothes. There's no time interval? This doesn't make sense. Wu Xiao must have thought so too. Let's slow it down again. In 30 times slow motion, when Wolf Cub used Dance of the Nebula, the flame blade in his hand was indeed extinguished. But it definitely didn't take 0.3 seconds. 0.3 seconds my ass, it didn't even take 0.1 seconds. He's a monster. Seriously, I've seen a ghost. On the internet there was a heated discussion about how Wolf Cub cheated. At this moment, Wang Lan had already arrived at the place where he met Hu Qing before the competition. Brother Lang, can't I back out? I've said it many times before. Once you've made your bet, you can't back out. You're not thinking of going back on your word, are you? No. Hu Qing clenched his fists tightly. His face was still covered in bloody bandages. Brother Lang, lend me some money. How much? 3 million. 3 million? That's nothing. I can even give it to you, let alone lend it to you. But I have a condition. Hu Qing's lips trembled. He knew what Brother Lang's condition was, but once he agreed to it, there was no turning back. Okay, I promise you. 3 years, I'll only follow you for 3 years. No problem, I'll treat you to 1 million a year. It's a good deal. Once you enter the underworld, you'll be a passerby with a conscience. A voice suddenly intruded into their conversation. Brother Lang's expression changed as he turned around abruptly. When he saw the white mask on Wang Lan's face, his eyes flickered with fear. Brother Lang was just an ordinary person. Perhaps in the eyes of his underlings, he was an awe-inspiring big brother. However, he knew himself very well. An ordinary person would always be an ordinary person. In the eyes of Takashi Hoshi, he could be easily squashed to death. What's the point of your 3-year promise? 3 years later, can you still turn back? Wang Lan's words seemed to drain Hu Qing of all her strength. I've been waiting for you to speak, but you never did, Wang Lan said indifferently. If you want to be friends, don't talk about money. If you talk about money, don't be friends. Hu Qing smiled bitterly. I've already thrown away my dignity, my face, and my conscience. How can I still be friends? How hypocritical. Stop mocking yourself. Didn't we agree to visit your sister together? Let's go. Brother Lang chuckled softly and turned to leave without any reluctance. He knew that with little Wolf here, Hu Qing would not agree to be with him tonight. However, it did not matter. His sister's illness was a bottomless pit. As long as she was alive, this pit would never be filled. Brother Lang believed that Hu Qing would come looking for him again soon. After Brother Lang left, Wang Lan and Hu Qing walked out of the park. Suddenly, a black SUV appeared beside them. The car window rolled down slowly. Jiang Xinyu, wearing sunglasses, appeared in front of Wang Lan. Get in. Wang Lan opened the car door decisively and pulled Hu Qing into the car. Throughout the whole process, Hu Qing was dumbfounded. You came to watch me live? Yes. Little Wolf is competing for the top 7. I have to come and support him. Do you know that "you're in a hurry" is the top trending topic right now? Well, you know, I'm really in a hurry. I'm free now. Come, Hu Qing. Your hand is fractured, and there's a crack in your calf. I'll treat it for you. Thank you. Your medical Takashi Hoshi is really powerful. It's better than all the medical awakened in the southeast military region. However, why can't Takashi Hoshi heal ordinary people? If it can, then, who knows? Maybe when the secret of Takashi Hoshi is solved, the Takashi Hoshi can also benefit ordinary people. Are you two done chatting? Many people surrounded them. Where are we going? The first affiliated hospital of the University of Su, Hu Qing said quickly. The SUV's engine suddenly roared, and it rushed onto the city road outside the park. Sinew, when did you learn to drive this big guy? Are you still doubting my driving skills now? I wouldn't dare. In the past, Wang Lan did not believe that money could make the world go round because he was already very rich. However, he still had to queue up when he went to the hospital, and he did not walk past the VIP section when he went to the bank. Wang Lan had never been on a plane, so he did not know. However, he had been like an ordinary person since he was young and did not enjoy any special privileges. Wang Lan knew how tight the parking space in the first affiliated hospital of the University of Su was. It was basically impossible to have a vacant parking space, especially at this time. However, when Jiang Xinyu took out a card and handed it to the guard actually let her in respectfully. Not only did he let her in, but he also guided Jiang Xinyu all the way to the designated indoor parking space. It turned out that it was not that Wang Lan could not enjoy special privileges because he was rich, but that he did not know how to do so at all. No one taught him, and he did not like to mix with those rich second-generation heirs. At most, he would have barbecue with Su Xianwen and Gong Feiyu. The three of them arrived at the intensive care unit. Jiang Xinyu did not like the smell of alcohol, so she secretly put on a mask. They followed Hu Qing to a ward. There were 6 beds in the ward. When Hu Qing entered, a happy cry suddenly came from one of the beds. "Brother!" Wang Lan followed the gaze. It was a little girl about the same age as Song Jia, about 10 years old. She had a bald head, but she was not as thin as Wang Lan had imagined. Her face looked very fleshy. Beside the bed sat a haggard middle-aged man and woman. Their faces were full of vicissitudes, and their hair was white. Hu Qing strode to the bed and grabbed the little girl's hand. "Fei, how are you today? Dr. Huang came to see me just now. He even congratulated me for being able to live for another week." The little girl's smile was very sweet. Even Jiang Xinyu, who was beside Wang Lan, showed a touch of gentleness on her face. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu came forward. Hu Qing quickly introduced them. "Fei, brother brought a friend to visit you. Mom, Dad, this is a friend I met during the competition. That is his girlfriend." Hu Qing took it for granted. Wang Lan did not explain, and Jiang Xinyu did not deny it. "Thank you, brother and sister." Fei greeted them very politely. "Uncle, Auntie, I came here right after the competition. I came in a hurry and didn't buy anything." As soon as Wang Lan finished speaking, Jiang Xinyu naturally opened the bag beside her and took out a wad of cash. This action was done as if the two of them had discussed it beforehand. "Hey, how can we?" Hu Qing's father immediately panicked. "Uncle, Hu Qing and I are friends. How can I pretend that I didn't see a friend in trouble? Aren't friends supposed to help each other? This money is a token of our sincerity. It's not much to us, but it's a lot to you. Just remember our friendship in your heart. Don't push it around." Wang Lan's words were appropriate and carried a kind of authority that could not be rejected. Hu Qing's father actually could not think of any words to refuse. Jiang Xinyu stuffed the wad of cash, which was estimated to be 50,000 yuan, into Hu Qing's father's arms. "Take it. I won't say any words of thanks. My family will remember this forever." Director Li, you're here. My father's illness, is it really?" a middle-aged man asked earnestly. "Mr. Yuan, it's cancer." Director Li's words made the middle-aged man's expression collapse. Any illness was easy to deal with, but cancer was incurable. "Little Fei, does your body hurt today?" Director Li came to Fei and asked with a grin. "It hurts, but it's not as painful as yesterday." "Yes. Although it's not as painful as yesterday, you still have to undergo chemotherapy tonight. Once you do it, your bones will slow down. Wang Lan looked at the benevolent Director Li and inexplicably had a good impression of him. Some people spoke of the benevolence of a doctor, but were cold and heartless to their patients. Some people, although not boasting, treated their patients warmly like the sun. Director Li, is there really no hope for Feifei's illness? I've never seen this kind of bone cancer before. It doesn't grow bone marrow tumors, but bone spurs grow crazily. The bone spurs grow crazily in her flesh, and every bone spur is like a steel needle piercing into her flesh. I've advised her family many times, but they are unwilling to give up. I'm a doctor, so I know how painful it is to be pierced by needles all over the body. Just thinking about it makes me shudder. Feifei is also the strongest girl I've ever seen. She's able to endure such pain every day, yet she's still so cheerful and happy. She doesn't cry or make a fuss. If I had a way, I'd even exchange myself with her. Sigh. Director Li shook his head. There's no way even if you have money? This isn't a matter of money. Money can make the King of Hell take care of her later, but it can't save her life. Director Li's voice was very soft. He didn't want to agitate Hu Qing's family. Wang Lan really wanted to help this strong girl, but medical Takashi Hoshi was ineffective on ordinary people. This had been proven countless times. As for why, there was no explanation to this day. The only explanation was that ordinary people didn't awaken the Takashi Hoshi talent, and medical Takashi Hoshi was able to heal through the stimulation of astral power. It must be that Takashi Hoshi was different from ordinary people on a certain level. Therefore, even if there were many medical Takashi Hoshi skills that could bring the dead back to life, they couldn't save ordinary patients. However, Wang Lan still subconsciously reached out and touched Hu Feifei's small hand. Hu Feifei obediently placed her hand in Wang Lan's palm. What kind of hand was that? Wang Lan didn't dare to believe it. Such a small hand was as hard as a piece of cast iron. It gave Wang Lan the feeling that there was a piece of iron under the skin. Brother, don't be sad for Feifei. Feifei doesn't want to see me hurt others. At this moment, Wang Lan's eyes suddenly widened. An incredulous expression appeared on his face. F***ck, this isn't bone cancer. What? Wang Lan's exclamation caused the entire ward to fall into dead silence. Hu Qing's family was in disbelief. Jiang Xinyu's face was full of shock. However, Director Li's face instantly darkened behind Wang Lan. Chapter 81. Young man, don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. Feifei's bone cells are multiplying and growing rapidly. Bone cancer is the result of repeated research and discussion by many chief physicians. We used advanced equipment and scientific evidence to come to this conclusion. You just took a look and said such inappropriate words. Do you know how much damage it will cause to our hospital's reputation? Calm down, Director Li. I'm not saying that your diagnosis is wrong. Feifei might really have bone cancer, but her bone cancer is different from your understanding of bone cancer. What do you mean? Hu Qing suddenly grabbed Wang Lan's sleeve. Wang Lan, what do you think is wrong with Feifei? Can she be saved? Do you have a way? This question. Listen to my explanation first. The doctor's diagnosis of bone cancer might be correct, but Feifei's situation is very special. Maybe when Feifei's bone cancer first sprouted, she awakened the Takashi Hoshi innate talent. No way? Wang Lan's words made Hu Qing even more incredulous. Feifei, you awakened? No. Your bones contain astral power. I'm definitely not wrong about this. A normal Takashi Hoshi's astral power is mostly contained in the body's cells. It's the first time I've seen astral power in your bones. It should be because you awakened the Takashi Hoshi innate talent but encountered a mutation, causing your Takashi Hoshi attribute to mutate. The sharp spikes growing out of the bones are actually driven by the astral power of the disorder. There's actually such a thing. Director Li was stunned by Wang Lan's explanation. There was finally an explanation for Feifei's strange condition. Even if it was bone cancer, why did it only grow spikes? Let's not talk about what's going on first. Can Feifei's illness be cured? Hu Qing asked anxiously. I'm not sure because Feifei's Takashi Hoshi innate talent is bone cancer. Bone cancer is her Takashi Hoshi innate talent. I can't guarantee whether the Takashi Hoshi innate talent will control the bone cancer or the bone cancer will kill her. Brother! Feifei suddenly grabbed Hu Qing's hand. Brother, let this little brother help me. Actually, it hurts a lot. Every time, it hurts so much that I want to cry, but I'm afraid that you'll be sad if I cry. So I can only laugh, but it really hurts. This. Hu Qing looked up at Wang Lan. What will happen if you fail? Wang Lan turned around and looked at Director Li, who also looked nervous. Maybe it's the same as what he said. Feifei's illness had already reached the stage where her oil lamp had run out. Even if he received treatment, it would only delay his death. And now, every day that she was alive was torture to Feifei. Dad, Mom, Hu Qing looked up at her parents to ask for their opinion. Your mom and I are heartbroken to see Feifei like this. Is it a gamble now? Hu Qing's father asked nervously as he looked at Wang Lan. More or less. How confident are you? Uncle, although I'm a medical Takashi Hoshi, this is the first time I've encountered such a situation where my illness and Takashi Hoshi talent are mixed together. If you really want to ask, I can only say that I'm not confident at all. Little brother, don't be nervous. Just do it. I don't blame you. Regardless of whether I live or die, it's a good outcome for me. It's better than living a life worse than death, right? Wang Lan, do it. I'll leave it to you, little brother. Wang Lan slowly reached out and unbuttoned Feifei's collar, revealing her smooth chest. He pressed his palm on Feifei's chest and activated the healing skill. Suddenly, Feifei's body lit up, and a hazy crescent-like glow lit up around her body. Feifei's body began to tremble slightly. Every pore on her body opened up, and beads of perspiration flowed out continuously. In a short while, Feifei's entire body was drenched in sweat. However, Feifei did not show any signs of pain. Instead, she let out a comfortable moan. Beep, 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 on the heart rate tester next to her. Feifei's heartbeat accelerated rapidly and reached a terrifying rate of 131. 4. Little brother, please stop. Feifei's heartbeat is too fast. Don't stop. I'm helping her activate her astral palace, Wang Lan said in a deep voice. It was unknown whether it was because of the bone cancer or the daily chemotherapy that Feifei had awakened her Takashi Hoshi talent with astral power. However, she did not activate her astral palace. Without a astral palace, astral power was an uncontrollable mass of astral power. That was also the reason why astral power would stimulate the growth of bone spurs in her bones. Soon, Feifei's heartbeat reached a terrifying rate of 150, which was already a very dangerous rate. If this rate continued for 10 minutes, it could lead to myocardial infarction and heart failure. Thump, thump, thump. Her heartbeat sounded like a drum. At the same time, a visible ripple appeared on top of Feifei's head. Within the ripple, a sea of energy gradually formed and gathered. Director Li wanted to stop them, but he was stopped by Jiang Xinyu with quick reflexes. At this critical moment, all their previous efforts would be wasted if they were interrupted. Boom! The vortex above her head finally stabilized. The stable vortex spun slowly, and the vortex in the middle suddenly collapsed and gathered rapidly. In a short while, a shining star appeared in the astral palace above Feifei's head. Wang Lan slowly moved his hand away. His face was pale and sweating profusely. He looked at Feifei with horror in his eyes. What kind of monster was this? With Wang Lan's current astral power, it would be a piece of cake for him to heal 3 near-death patients in a row. However, healing Feifei used up all his astral power in a short minute. Moreover, as the person who helped Feifei open up the astral palace, Wang Lan could clearly feel the surging astral power contained in Feifei's astral palace. She was obviously a heavenly body tier, but the density of her astral power was almost on par with him, who was in the middle stage of star blazing. Her starting point was so high and her talent so strong. Wang Lan had the urge to cry. He had already cheated, but he didn't expect to meet someone who was even more ruthless than him. Sure enough, there was no lack of cheaters in this world. The only difference was who was more ruthless. People like Jiang Xinyu who cheated were considered shameless. They were talented and had good resources. For someone like Wang Lan who was using cheats, she was shameless. Now, Fei Fei was asking her if she was shameless. She would probably ask, "What's shamelessness?" It didn't exist. Wang Lan let go of her, but the astral power on Fei Fei didn't disappear. Suddenly, Fei Fei's skin turned jade. Outside her skin, large amounts of bone material appeared. In the blink of an eye, Fei Fei's body was covered in bone material. It was as if she was wearing an exoskeleton armor. "It doesn't hurt anymore. Brother, it doesn't hurt anymore. I'm fine. I'm fine." Fei Fei jumped up from the bed with a whoosh. At that moment, she didn't feel any pain in her waist or legs. She felt energetic and refreshed. She even felt that she could walk as fast as flying and as light as a swallow. But Fei Fei was scared by this scene. Can you imagine a skeleton-like thing wrapped in bones jumping around and screaming excitedly on the bed? Creak. The door of the ward was pushed open. A nurse came in with a medical cart. Then, she looked up and saw a skeleton dancing on the bed. The nurse was stunned for a second. Then, her gorgeous eyes rolled back and she fainted. If it weren't for the fact that the people in the ward didn't see how it happened, they wouldn't have been able to stand it. The middle-aged man in the ward hurriedly covered the eyes of his father, who had just woken up. He was afraid that his father would sneak a peek and then leave. "Fei Fei, come down first." Wang Lan hurriedly called out, "Control your astral power and see if you can make these exoskeletons go back." What's on my body? What is this? I've just awakened the Takashi Hoshi talent. It's hard to control the talent in a short time. I need some time to practice." Jiang Xinyu came to Wang Lan's side and said calmly, "When I first awakened the Takashi Hoshi talent, I almost killed someone with a sneeze. Let me do it." Wang Lan reached out and took Fei Fei's hand. He used his astral power to control Fei Fei's astral power. Immediately, the exoskeletons on Fei Fei's body disintegrated quickly. Gradually, they disappeared into Fei Fei's body. When all the exoskeletons disappeared, not only did Fei Fei's hand return to its original state, even the rock-hard feeling disappeared. At this moment, Fei Fei was a normal, healthy little girl. "All right, fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. Fei Fei, your illness is completely cured. You can still go to school happily in the future. You can also become a powerful Takashi Hoshi warrior like your brother." Wang Lan smiled and patted Fei Fei's cute little bald head. "Cured a strong little girl. Reward, 100 experience points, 5 skill points." Wang Lan heard the system notification in his mind. This reward was insignificant to Wang Lan. However, this reward was even more insignificant compared to the little girl in front of him being able to recover. "Am I really cured? Can I go home now?" Fei Fei looked at Director Li in the crowd expectantly. "This little brother said that you've recovered. You must have recovered. Fei Fei, put on your clothes. Don't catch a cold." "That's great. Dad, Mom, I want to go home. I miss home so much." Fei Fei stretched out her hands, revealing a sharp 9-inch skeletal claw. "Don't get too excited. You have to learn how to control your astral power as soon as possible. Otherwise, you won't be able to go to school," Wang Lan said quickly. Jiang Xinyu inadvertently rolled her eyes at him. She recalled 8 years ago, when she was expelled from school because of a sneeze and had to stay home for a month. "Wang Lan, thank you," Hu Qing said solemnly to Wang Lan. "I can't thank you enough. I'll do anything for you in the future." "You'd better think about what to do in the future." A faint smile appeared on Wang Lan's face. "Fei Fei has recovered and awakened. It's time for your family to work hard for a new life. What will you do in the future? It's not easy to train a Takashi Hoshi, let alone two. Although I've thought about it before, I didn't have time to think about it. But now it's time to plan. When I retired from the army, the old squad leader suggested that I become a guard. Although Takashi Hoshi cases are handled by the Heavenly Sword Bureau, the superintendent also needs the power of Takashi Hoshi. I think that with my identity as a Takashi Hoshi and my meritorious service in the army, I should be able to become a guard. Being a guard? Good. Punishing evil and becoming the guardian of the people. You don't lose your identity as a Takashi Hoshi. I have faith in you. Good luck. It's getting late. We'll take our leave. Little Feifei, I'll come and see you again if there's a chance. Little brother, Feifei's recovered. Here's the money. Uncle, Feifei's just recovered. You also need some money. Don't stand on ceremony with me. We're leaving. Wang Lan waved his sleeves and turned to leave with Jiang Xinyu. I couldn't tell. You're quite kind-hearted. You couldn't tell? I've known you for so long. You didn't notice my kindness? Wang Lan accused her with a pained expression. Jiang Xinyu was speechless. Was his brain made of wood? Does helping others give you a sense of accomplishment? No. I'm used to it. Used to it? Yes. Chapter 82. After being sent home by Jiang Xinyu, it was already late. Wang Lan thoughtfully asked Jiang Xinyu to go home early. It wasn't good for girls to go home late, and it wasn't safe to drive at night. Until now, Wang Lan was still worried about Jiang Xinyu's driving skills. Jiang Xinyu was still smiling when she closed the window, but the moment the window was closed, she immediately gritted her teeth. Among all the single people, he was the best. He had used up a lot of star power last night. Although he had recovered after such a long time, his stomach was growling. Wang Lan lived in the Xinyu building, which was part of the East Tianmen business district. As long as Wang Lan went out, he would be in a bustling shopping center. It would take more than half an hour to order takeout. Wang Lan hesitated for a moment, but still decided to change his clothes and go out to eat. Woo woo woo, the sirens were loud and clear, piercing through the night sky. In Sioux City, especially in the bustling shopping center, loud fire sirens were often heard, but Wang Lan rarely saw them. Moreover, the sirens were coming from the shopping center that Wang Lan was planning to go to. Wang Lan followed the sirens. Outside the shopping center, there were dozens of police cars parked densely. From afar, there were at least 100 guards. Outside the barricade created by the guards, many citizens were discussing something intensely. However, there were too many people, and Wang Lan didn't hear anything. The only thing he knew was that there was a very dangerous person in the shopping center. Excuse me. What happened in the shopping center? Wang Lan came outside the barricade and asked one of the guards. Go go go. Don't just stand there, that's a Takashi Hoshi. Please cooperate with us and leave quickly, the guard on the other side shouted impatiently. Boom. Just then, there was an explosion in the shopping center and the glass shattered. The surrounding commoners let out a cry of surprise and immediately scattered in all directions in horror. You were the one who asked for help from the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Why are you chasing us away now that we're here? A voice sounded. Wang Lan turned around and saw Su Shiyun standing behind him. Brother Su, you're here? Su Shiyun took out his ID. Heavenly Sword Bureau, Intelligence Department Action Team Leader, Su Shiyun. I'm sorry, I didn't know he was. Big Brother Su, he was just doing his duty. Moreover, he didn't know my identity. You live here? Su Shiyun patted Wang Lan's shoulder and asked him to follow him. Yes, Xinyu Building. You can afford to live here? Which floor? Which floor? I'll come visit. The Su Jin cloud in front of him staggered. Brother? What's going on? A Takashi Hoshi participated in the wedding banquet and went on a killing spree after a few taunts. He killed 6 or 7 people and escaped. He fled to the shopping center. This isn't an alternate dimension. Wouldn't a few guns be enough to take him down? Why would we need the help of the Heavenly Sword Bureau? First of all, the Heavenly Sword Bureau is responsible for Takashi Hoshi's case. Of course, the superintendent has the right to kill him in an emergency. But this Takashi Hoshi used to be in the army and has a good sense of concealment. He has hostages in his hands and the superintendent didn't dare to shoot for their safety. He's hiding in the shopping center with more than 10 hostages. It's also a sniper's blind spot. He had no choice but to ask for our help. As they spoke, Wang Lan followed Su Shiryun into the shopping center. It was a mess and empty. Their footsteps echoed clearly in the shopping center. Wang Lan kept looking around. Su Shiryun, on the other hand, was walking forward calmly. He stepped on the elevator and went upstairs slowly. Don't look for him. He's on the 3rd floor. How do you know? As long as he's on the ground, he can't escape my senses, Su Shiryun said with a mysterious smile. They followed the elevator to the 3rd floor. At the entrance of the elevator, a charred corpse was lying in the corridor. Seeing this, Su Shiryun frowned. I wanted to bring him back alive. Now it seems that there's no need to keep him alive. Takashi Hoshi had great power, but it didn't mean that he could trample on the law. In front of the law, everyone was the same. Especially for Takashi Hoshi, the law was even stricter. If a Takashi Hoshi had a conflict with an ordinary person, it would be called a brawl. However, if a Takashi Hoshi used Takashi Hoshi skills, it would be suspected of murder. Therefore, Takashi Hoshi could kill people in the alternate dimension, but when they returned to human society, they would control their temper. If they accidentally used Takashi Hoshi skills, they would be done for. However, Takashi Hoshi usually didn't have conflicts with ordinary people. Even the underworld would avoid Takashi Hoshi when they saw them. Even if there was a conflict, a Takashi Hoshi could fight dozens of people with their fists and legs. As long as they weren't crazy, who would use Takashi Hoshi skills against ordinary people? If the other party had guns, then the other party was unlucky. Using Takashi Hoshi skills at this time could be considered a self-defense counterattack and wouldn't be subject to legal consequences. However, the one in front of them was obviously crazy. In the middle of the corridor on the 3rd floor, a young man with a ferocious face stared coldly at them with his fierce eyes. Beside him, there were 3 corpses that had tried to escape, and 7 or 8 women curled up beside him and cried bitterly. There were young girls, middle-aged women, and a girl who looked to be 13 or 14 years old. Since when did the mighty Takashi Hoshi only know how to bully the weak and the old? Wang Jianjun, you used to be a man, but now you're at most an animal. You're the negotiator sent here? Don't King bullshit me. I've already gotten to this point, how can I still be a man? Cut the crap, give me a car and 10 million in cash. I'll give you 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes are up, I'll kill 1 person every minute. Since I'm not going to live, I'll take a few more with me. *CK. You look down on me, what right do you have to look down on me? Without us Takashi Hoshi to kill the enemy, without us protecting you, you won't even be able to eat shit. *CK. I beg to differ on this point. Su Shiryun gently took off the glasses on the bridge of his nose, looking like a negotiator. He folded the glasses and put them in the pocket of his suit. They don't look down on Takashi Hoshi. On the contrary, they respect Takashi Hoshi very much. The one they look down on is probably just you. Also, I'm not here to negotiate. The moment he finished speaking, Su Shiryun lightly stepped on the ground. In an instant, a concrete wall suddenly rose from the ground around the other party. The moment Su Shiryun moved, Wang Lan suddenly unleashed the Takashi Hoshi technique. Even if he and Su Shiryun had never completed a complete cooperation, even if the two of them had never discussed tactics. But at this moment the two of them cooperated perfectly. Boom! In an instant, the wall raised by Su Shiryun was burned red by the flames. The terrifying heat emitted from the wall turned it into a terrifying cannon. The surrounding hostages just had time to react and were about to escape. Wang Lan had already rushed to the front of the wall. He punched out with a single punch. Boom! The red wall of fire shattered, and the Takashi Hoshi inside was blasted out of the balcony walkway by Wang Lan's punch. He flew out from the 3rd floor and fell to the 1st floor. Good chance fire. The police officers on standby on the 1st floor immediately seized the opportunity. More than a dozen police officers spat out flames from their guns. Da-da-da! The bullets hit the Takashi Hoshi's body instantly. Blood splattered from the Takashi Hoshi's body. You deserve to die, all of you deserve to die. Roar! Suddenly, the Takashi Hoshi roared to the sky. The cloves on the mountain instantly burst and tore apart. His body quickly changed, like a transformer transforming. His body was quickly covered with a layer of hard shell. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan's expression finally changed. Because when they were in the beginner trial field, the strange Takashi Hoshi who suddenly attacked them had a similar transformation at the end. It was just that he didn't transform as thoroughly as he did. He was more like demons. Demonization. Good guy. Su Shiryun's voice rose from upstairs. He had already jumped down from the 3rd floor. Earth River Torrents. Su Shiryun jumped down from the sky, but the moment he jumped, an earth dragon instantly gathered under his body. It fell from the sky and pressed down on the crazy Takashi Hoshi at his feet. Boom! The Takashi Hoshi who had just planned to wreak havoc didn't even have time to show off before he was buried by tens of thousands of tons of earth. In the center of the venue, there was only a small hill that was 1 story high. Boom! With a muffled sound, the top of the hill suddenly split open. Flames spewed into the sky. From the outside, it looked like a volcanic eruption. You still dare to be impudent? Su Shiryun shouted in a deep voice. He instantly landed on the hill and pressed his hand against it. 5 elements suppression. A ripple visible to the naked eye rippled out. The hill instantly shrank by 1/3 as if magic had been cast on it. Earth Dragon strangulation. The shrinking hill suddenly twisted rapidly. As it twisted, its volume also shrank rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it shrank by another 1/3. The originally dark brown hill had now turned into gray-white rock. Standing on the 3rd floor, Wang Lan's heart was in turmoil. Brother Su was still Brother Su. During the battle, he really did go easy on the Pacific Ocean. Using Takashi Hoshi's skills, a transformed Takashi Hoshi who could reach Nebula was easily strangled by him. This series of Takashi Hoshi's skills were used smoothly. Maybe the Takashi Hoshi didn't even understand what was going on before he took the easy way out. Assist in the kill. Reward: 50 experience points and 5 skill points. He had only used 1 skill and did almost nothing. Who would have thought that he would be rewarded with experience points and skill points? Wang Lan revealed a faint smile. Unexpected gains were always so delightful. Su Shiryun jumped down from the hill. Dozens of guards cautiously approached him with their guns raised. Put away your guns, Su Shiryun waved at the guards with a ruffian expression. They're all cold. As he said that, he patted the hill lightly. The hill suddenly exploded and trembled as it collapsed. The scene made the nervous guard raise his gun again. When they saw the extremely twisted bright red corpse lying at the bottom of the hill, the group of guards all let out a uniform gasp. Although guns were effective against Takashi Hoshi, those below the galaxy realm were not immune to sniper rifle damage. However, it had to be said that ordinary people with guns were still at an absolute disadvantage against Takashi Hoshi. F***CK. I changed my clothes and forgot to bring a cigarette. Chief of the Heavenly Sword Bureau, come, smoke mine. A guard close to him quickly took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket. Su Shiryun did not hesitate and took out a cigarette. What bullsh*t, Chief? My name is Su Shiryun. Call me Old Sue or Captain Sue. Su Shiryun gently placed the cigarette on the Takashi Hoshi's corpse. The cigarette was lit instantly. Su Shiryun took a deep puff and blew out a cloud of smoke. Trash like you is only worth this much. Captain Sue, you're so fast. I just received the call and you're already here? A voice rang out. At the entrance of the mall, a young man in a red military uniform strode over. When Wang Lan saw him, his eyes flickered. It's him. Chapter 83. The young man was the one Wang Lan had met on the second floor when he reported to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Cold and emotionless, he preached the moment he opened his mouth. At that time, he had thought that the Heavenly Sword Bureau was all like that. His worries only dissipated when he saw the young lady from the Human Resources Department. The young man raised his head slightly and glanced at Wang Lan, who was in the corridor on the third floor, from the corner of his eyes. It's not that I'm fast, it's that you're too slow, Captain Lee. This should be the responsibility of the operations department. Isn't the intelligence department overstepping their authority? That's true internally, but to the outside world, what operations department or intelligence department? It's all the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Saving people is like putting out a fire. Of course, they would rush over as soon as they received the report. Unlike Captain Lee, who took his time to change his clothes. Su Shiryun sneered at Li Ji's meticulous military uniform. I'm always in uniform, both internally and externally. Why would I change my clothes? It's obvious that the intelligence department deliberately delayed the report for 10 minutes before sending it to the operations department. Is that so? When we receive the report, we send it to the operations department as soon as possible. Humph! Li Gu snorted coldly and turned to leave. After taking 2 steps, Li Ji's body twisted slightly and disappeared as if by magic. Wang Lan came down the stairs and glanced at the deformed body on the ground. What's this? Demonized Takashi Hoshi, Su Shiryun said with a serious expression. This situation only happened recently. The Heavenly Sword Bureau in the Northwest region sent a message to the Heavenly Sword Bureau nationwide. A type of demonized Takashi Hoshi has appeared in the Northwest region. No one knows how they demonized. We only know that a type of Takashi Hoshi can suddenly transform into demons. After the transformation, there will be a soul orb in their brain. They weren't replaced by demons. Wang Lan was surprised. After all, demons and humans were completely different races. How could they change at will? No. Su Shiryun shook his head gloomily. After DNA analysis, they were indeed human Takashi Hoshi, but for some reason they have demons' DNA in their bodies. Demons' DNA was extremely invasive. Once stimulated, it would quickly invade human DNA. However, they were clearly 2 different species, so the reason why their DNA was compatible had yet to be found. Furthermore, it had only happened a short time ago, so there was no further information. The higher-ups speculated that this was the demons' new method of invasion. They wanted to assimilate our Takashi Hoshi to achieve their goal of invasion. Originally, I thought that this kind of demonized Takashi Hoshi only existed in the Northwest region, but I didn't expect that Sioux City would also have them. This type of demonized Takashi Hoshi. I've seen it before, Wang Lan whispered. You've seen it? Where is it? When I was in the primary trial field. At that time, my team and I had just escaped from the Snow Spider riot. A Takashi Hoshi ambushed us. Originally, he was just a star blazing, but later, his body also mutated like him. However, that person's mutation wasn't as big as his. His body was just covered in an armor-like carapace. There were also blades growing out of his arms and so on. At that time, Jiang Xinyu had just broken through to Nebula, so our team killed him. At that time, I thought he was just a Takashi Hoshi with special abilities, but when I heard you say something about demonization, I remembered. The first demonized Takashi Hoshi was discovered in the Northwest region less than a month ago. If what you said is true, Then the first place to discover the demonized Takashi Hoshi wasn't in the northwest region, but our Sioux City. I have to report this to Wang Chu. Right, what happened to that person? You're talking about Li Ge? He's just a Chunibu kid. He's been spoiled since he was young. He has a background, he has a backer, and he's talented. Let my ass. If he wants to be promoted to captain, do you think I don't want it? Right now, he's like a hungry wolf. When he sees a mission, his eyes turn red and he's crazily accumulating merits. What? You're just a captain? What? What's with that look? Su Shiryun suddenly couldn't take it anymore. Especially when he heard Wang Lan's incredulous expression and disdainful tone. What do you mean, just? Do you think it's that easy to be promoted to an officer? What do you think a captain is? Only graduates of the Big Four Seibu Gakuen have the opportunity to be awarded the rank of lieutenant. Other Takashi Hoshi have to endure at least 3 years to become a captain, at least 5 years to become a lieutenant, and at least 8 years to become a captain. Moreover, this is under the condition that they have enough merit. I'm only 32 this year. Being a captain is already very awesome, okay? Okay. Your tone is very reluctant. No! You brat. If it weren't for the fact that we're all from the intelligence department, I'd King beat you up right now. Brother Su, don't be angry. I don't understand. I heard that the top students who graduate from the military academy become first lieutenants right after graduation. That's a technical soldier. Moreover, the so-called top students are at least master's students. Ordinary undergraduate students only have the qualifications to become officers. Whether or not they can be promoted depends on their performance. Don't treat ginseng as a carrot, okay? Okay. You're right. Brother Su is mighty. You're a captain at such a young age. Your future is limitless. Let's go. Do you want to come to my house? No, I have to go back and report to Wang Chu. As he spoke, he turned around and called out to the guards. Protect the scene. Wait for my colleagues to come and collect evidence. Understood. Su Shiryun left in a hurry. Wang Lan didn't get to eat a single hot bite. In the end, he chose to order takeout to be delivered home. Fortunately, the food and beverage industry in this world was open 24 hours a day. He rested at home for a day. On Sunday night, Wang Lan left home after nightfall and went to the Sioux City TV station. Tonight was the night of the championship match. It was also the true meaning of the Takashi Hoshi tournament. 2 semifinals and 1 final. There were no second or third place. There was only the final winner standing in the ring. And after last time when he was in a hurry, Wang Lan's popularity completely exploded. For example, Jean Cheng's humiliating gesture to slander his opponent was reviled by the public. And Wang Lan's domineering rush didn't make the idiotic netizens feel uncomfortable. Instead, it made them feel that he was full of pretentiousness. Of course, there were also keyboard warriors who accused Wang Lan of being arrogant and conceited. To be pretentious, one had to have the ability to be pretentious. To be arrogant, one had to have the ability to be arrogant. Wang Lan finished the battle in 30 seconds. He had already used his actions to prove that he had the ability to be arrogant. Moreover, Wang Lan really was in a hurry. So even though Wang Lan's words caused a heated discussion, there weren't many people who objected. And because of this, the netizens also changed the way they addressed Wang Lan. Contestant Little Wolf could no longer satisfy Wang Lan's conceited pretentiousness. So, a new nickname was easily accepted by the public. Wolf King. The Takashi Hoshi Tournament, the final episode. There was still an hour before the live broadcast, but the channel's viewership had already broken through 4%. The viewers in front of their televisions would rather wait with their televisions on than change the channel. The 4 contestants in this Takashi Hoshi tournament were Chang Xuanyue, Xing Feng, Wang Lan and Qing Qingzhu. Other than Wang Lan, the other 3 were all at the pinnacle of starlight. Especially Chang Xuanyue. From the way he easily defeated Hu Qing last time, it could be seen that not only was he at the pinnacle of starlight, but he might have already set foot on the steps of Nebula. Among the four, only Qing Qingzhu was worried. The other three were very difficult for him. He was a wind attribute Takashi Hoshi. He had a solid foundation and was very strong. But it also depended on who he was competing against. Chang Shuangyue was a freak, and if he fought against Wang Lan, his attributes would be restrained. He now hoped to be matched against Xing Feng, because his thunder attribute was restrained by his wind attribute. But there was also a law in this world called Murphy's Law. The more you were afraid and worried, the more it would happen. After the matches were drawn, Wang Lan would fight against Xing Feng, and he would fight against Chang Shuangyue. Looking at the match list, Xing Feng lost a breath, but Qing Qingzhu's face was dark and expressionless. Tonight is the final night of the third season of the Takashi Hoshi tournament. Tonight, the top four will fight to see who is the hero. Tonight, there would be 3 exciting battles that would make people's blood boil. Tonight, who would the final glory belong to? The third season of the Takashi Hoshi Tournament Finals will be broadcasted live for you. To the audience outside the venue, please send the champion you support in coded form to ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* announced. The host was particularly excited today. He didn't even pant when he spoke, and talked nonstop for more than half an hour. Backstage, Wang Lan sat on his throne, 4 gorgeous chairs full of a sense of technology. Xing Feng was a thunder attribute Takashi Hoshi, known as the Thunder Star. If the wind attribute Takashi Hoshi's speed was fast, then the thunder attribute Takashi Hoshi's speed was instantaneous. Although Xing Feng hadn't used the lightning attribute's most representative instantaneous movement technique, there was no guarantee that he wouldn't. The thunder attribute had unparalleled penetrative power, explosive power, and speed. If it wasn't restrained by the wind attribute, Wang Lan would have suspected that the thunder attribute wasn't one of the 7 basic attributes. In the Takashi Hoshi world, there was a Takashi Hoshi doctrine. Although it wasn't officially recognized, it was accepted by many people. There was only one rule in the lightning attribute, and that was that the only thing that could defeat him was wind. Wang Lan only had the fire attribute. Although fire and thunder didn't restrain each other, in terms of power, the fire attribute was slightly weaker. Wang Lan, who was wearing a mask, lowered his head and pondered. But what was this scene that was broadcasted live through the camera? On the frozen throne, the noble lowered his head and pondered. Even though he was sitting there motionless, his oppressive aura poured out in all directions like a collapsing mountain. Not to mention the people outside the TV, even the other 3 contestants sitting on the throne could feel the pressure emitted from Wang Lan's body. So elegant, so cool. Is there any similar equipment to the Wolf King? I want to get one. There are countless of them online. There must be a similar equipment that suits you. The Wolf King's coolness doesn't lie in his equipment, but in the dark knight aristocratic aura he emits. Even if you have the same equipment, you'll still be an idiot. The previous poster is an idiot identified. How can you see the aristocratic aura? It's clearly the aura of a king. Counting down in 10 minutes, I'm looking forward to it. Counting down in 15 minutes, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, is the previous poster the main character who rejuvenates? The countdown can change? You're looking forward to the first round, and I'm looking forward to the second round, so counting down in 15 minutes. Makes sense. Counting down in 13 minutes. Chapter 84. The finals of the Takashi Hoshi tournament began under the eager anticipation of the audience. The first match was Chang Shuangyue's captain, Cheng Qingzhu. It was unknown if Chang Shuangyue had activated a hidden switch in his last match against Hu Qing. In the past, although Chang Shuangyue's strength was not bad, his performance was very steady. From the preliminaries to the official competition, regardless of whether his opponent was strong or weak, He had fought steadily and won steadily. However, ever since his fight with Hu Qing, Chang Shuangyue's attacks had become more and more violent and aggressive. When his skin turned red, the aura emitted from his body was like that of an enraged beast. Moreover, this state was like an invincible mode, as if he was immune to Takashi Hoshi's attacks from the law level. Hu Qing's gravity punch could even flatten a tank, but when it hit Chang Shuangyue's body, it was as if nothing had happened. Now, Ching Qingzhu's wind attribute Takashi Hoshi's powerful slash turned into a soaring wind dragon and instantly hit Chang Shuangyue's chest. However, Chang Shuangyue was not affected at all except for a small cut on his skin. Is he still human? Wang Lan heard Xing Feng's exclamation. Indeed, could he still be considered human? Xing Feng was not the only one who had this thought. The millions of viewers watching the live broadcast also had this thought. From the beginning of the match, Ching Qingzhu had been attacking wildly. He knew very well how terrifying Chang Shuangyue was. Even someone as strong as Hu Qing had been beaten to a pulp by him. Ching Qingzhu had no chance of winning at all. The only lucky thing was that Hu Qing's gravity punch was a blunt blow, while his wind attribute Takashi Hoshi had unparalleled cutting power. Unfortunately, Takashi Hoshi's two attacks, which consumed a lot of energy, had not been able to break Chang Shuangyue's defense. On the other hand, his wind attribute was known for its speed, but he was forced to the corner of the ring. The battle had only been going on for 3 minutes, but there had been more than 3 decisive clashes. At this moment, Ching Qingzhu's face was covered in sweat and his chest was heaving violently. The entire venue was dead silent. Whether it was the audience, the judges, or the host, they all clenched their fists tightly, unwilling to make a sound. Even Director Min, who had absolute control of the show backstage, was staring at the screen without blinking. This match was too intense. Chang Shuangyue was like a monster, approaching Ching Qingzhu step by step. On the other hand, Ching was like a small beast hiding from a ferocious beast hunting. He used all kinds of tricks to try to counter the hunter, but every time he failed, he returned empty-handed. Ching Qingzhu's appearance was appearance, so he could not help but want to help him. At this moment, the audience Hoshis were calm as there were even fewer bullet comments, there were fewer bullet comments, there were fewer comments was broadcasts as Hoshi? Ho Hoshis. Phew, Ching Qingzhu let out a long breath. He did not have much star power left. If this continued, admitting defeat would be his only option. Therefore, he had to stake everything on one throw. That move was an A-level Takashi Hoshi technique. It was a very powerful A-level Takashi Hoshi technique. He had practiced it hard for 3 years and still could not fully master it. But now it was his last chance. Ching Qingzhu's eyes suddenly became resolute. He gently lifted one of his feet and spread his arms, making a golden rooster standing on one leg. Chang Shuangyue's eyes were bloodshot. His face was ferocious, as if he was enduring some kind of pain. Wang Lan saw all of this. What was Chang Shuangyue enduring? Were there any side effects from using invincible mode? Just like his phoenix form, were there any hidden dangers? It should be. Was it reasonable for such a powerful Takashi Hoshi technique to not have any hidden dangers? Was it appropriate to be so abnormal? Ching Qingzhu's body instantly rippled with cyan wind whistling. Chang Shuangyue, who was approaching step by step, stopped. Suddenly, Ching Qingzhu's body spun rapidly with one of his feet as a fulcrum. The rapid rotation stirred up a gust of wind. In an instant, it turned into a huge tornado that connected to the barrier. The tornado instantly soared into the sky and turned into a huge 4-cornered wind blade that looked like a sharp cone in the void. Xingtian wind erosion. On the judging platform, Bao Longqing stood up excitedly. Xingtian wind erosion? Teacher Bao, do you know this move? This is the ultimate move of Xing Shao, the Wind Dragon King, 50 years ago. Xingtian wind erosion is a Takashi Hoshi technique that maximizes the cutting property of wind. It is said that Xing Xiao used this move to defeat the Diamond King of Glan. Even the hard, 1-meter-thick diamond wall could be cut by Xingtian wind erosion. I didn't expect it to appear in the arena of the Takashi Hoshi tournament. Listening to Xiao Bao's explanation, the audience all had the same expression as Siguri. Those who didn't know would only think that it was amazing, but those who knew the inside story almost spat out their food. For example, the two middle-aged men who were hiding in Wang Qianfeng's office and watching the live broadcast through the projector. He Mingxue spat out a mouthful of tea. He almost destroyed the high-definition projector that he had bought for 10,000 yuan. Is that necessary? Wang Qianfeng glanced at He Mingxue in disdain. Where did the organizers of the Takashi Hoshi tournament find this judge? Does he download all his information from search engines? Xingtian wind erosion is indeed a grade A Takashi Hoshi technique. But is it as awesome as he said? If it's really that awesome, would it still be a grade A Takashi Hoshi technique? It's true that Xing Xiao used Xingtian wind erosion to defeat the Diamond King. But that's because he's Xing Xiao. If it were someone else, even the King of Glass wouldn't be able to break it, let alone the King of Diamonds. Xing Xiao was born with an extraordinary affinity for the wind attribute. Any wind attribute Takashi Hoshi technique would be multiplied by 3 in his hand. Xing Xiao's Xingtian wind erosion was close to grade S in power. Besides, Qing Qingzhu obviously hasn't mastered this technique yet. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Wang Qianfeng sipped his tea leisurely. You think I don't know? Isn't this misleading the audience? So what if it's misleading? Does the audience need to know the truth? Don't they? They won't become Takashi Hoshi. Who doesn't know about those who can become Takashi Hoshi? But I'm interested in this Chang Shuangyue kid. Oh? You're just curious? No, I keep feeling that this Chang Shuangyue is a bit strange. His Takashi Hoshi technique is a bit different from what I remember. It's not the berserker form, nor is it the blood-severing secret technique. It feels like a Takashi Hoshi talent. Who cares? Let's just keep watching. As soon as he finished speaking, the wind blade in the sky rushed toward Chang Shuangyue's chest. Chang Shuangyue's skin turned even redder. Instead of dodging, he raised his head and threw a punch at the wind blade in the sky. Oh my god, is Chang Shuangyue crazy? He actually punched it? F***CK, hot-blooded, domineering, this is a real man. A real man punches it. Go! Exclamations and shouts came from the mouths of the audience watching the live broadcast. Qing Qingzhu clenched her teeth tightly. Her body merged with the wind blade. She kicked away Chang Shuangyue's fist and slammed into Chang Shuangyue's chest. No. Qing Qingzhu's face changed greatly. Chang Shuangyue's chest didn't feel any flesh. It felt like she had kicked a piece of fine iron. Chang Shuangyue's body kept retreating. The terrifying impact forced him to keep retreating. His legs were firmly nailed to the ground like 2 iron stakes, leaving long grooves on the hard concrete floor. Suddenly, Chang Shuangyue, who had lowered his head, slowly raised his head. His twisted face revealed a ferocious smile. The big hand grabbed Qing Qingzhu's leg, and the wind dissipated. The whole world turned quiet, and Qing Qingzhu was like a little chick that was being held in the hand. She looked so helpless, weak, and pitiful. Crack, a crisp sound was heard. It was so clear. Chang Shuangyue actually broke Qing Qingzhu's leg. Before Qing Qingzhu could scream, the audience at the scene had already exclaimed. Since it was an actual battle, there would be injuries. Since it was an injury, it was normal to break a leg. There were many ways to get injured. There were also many ways to break a leg. However, it would be too bloody and cruel to break his leg as if he was breaking a corn cob. F***CK, Chang Shuangyue is breaking the rules, isn't he? According to the rules, it's not a violation. However, no one would do this in public in a competition. Is he going to go all the way? Chang Shuangyue didn't stop. Suddenly, he grabbed Qing Qingzhu's hands with both hands. Crack, like wringing a towel, he twisted Qing Qingzhu's arms 180 degrees. This is too much. So cruel. Is he a pervert? F***ck, he really did it? Stop. Stop. The competition is over. Chang Shuangyue is the winner. Chang Shuangyue, you are not allowed to hurt Qing Qingzhu. Let him go. The host lost his composure in panic and hurriedly shouted. Qing Qingzhu was abandoned on the arena by Chang Shuangyue like a piece of trash. Chang Shuangyue silently turned around and walked out of the arena step by step. Wherever he went, the audience scattered as if they were avoiding the plague. Such a peerless demon exuded a horrifying aura of brutality. Backstage, Xing Feng's Adam's apple moved up and down. After a long time, he came back to his senses. It's better to admit defeat in front of him. I'll go out for a while. Can you wait for me for 5 minutes? Wang Lan stood up and said calmly. Okay, but if you treat him now, your astral power, no problem. Wang Lan rushed out of the backstage in a flash. This scene was naturally broadcast by the live camera. Is Wolf King going to the toilet? Did he pee his pants? You're the one who peed your pants. Did you forget that Wolf King revealed that he was a medical awakened Takashi Hoshi? He's going to treat Qing Qingzhu? He's going to participate in the competition soon. Isn't this a waste of astral power? Brother Wolf King is so kind and warm. The two above have no sympathy. They deserve to be single forever. F***ck, don't think that I won't scold you just because you're a girl. Are we not sympathetic? We're analyzing the pros and cons rationally, okay? Brother, you're arguing rationally with a girl? From this point of view, you're not rational enough. I was wrong. You're right. You're right. Qing Qingzhu was carried down on a stretcher and went straight to the infirmary. In the infirmary, the medical awakened Takashi Hoshi was already on standby. When he saw Qing Qingzhu's injuries, he shook his head gloomily. I can't treat this injury. Her bones have been twisted into a fried dough twist. Unless it's an advanced medical awakened Takashi Hoshi, she'll definitely be crippled. Besides, we can't delay any longer. We have to find an advanced Takashi Hoshi to treat her within 6 hours. Otherwise, even the advanced medical Takashi Hoshi won't be able to save her. Miss G, even you can't do anything about it. There are many kinds of medical awakened. I can heal wounds, but it's not the wound that's the problem. It's the bones that have been crushed into flour. Let me do it. A voice drifted into everyone's ears like a cool breeze. Wang Lan, who was wearing a moon-white mask, slowly walked towards the unconscious Qing Qingzhu. Chapter 85. Wang Lan frowned when he saw Qing Qingzhu's injury. He didn't think the injury was troublesome. Instead, he felt that Chang Shuangyue was cruel and ruthless. They were all here for the competition. It wasn't like there was any deep hatred between them. Did he have to be so cruel? Fortunately, Qing Qingzhu was unconscious. How much pain would he have to go through if he was awake? Contestant Little Wolf, it's hard to treat such an injury. I know you're good at healing, but his injury is different from Hu Qing's. Miss G looked at Wang Lan and paused. She thought he couldn't do anything about the injury. It's okay. Then, he pressed Qing Qingzhu's leg. With a surge of astral power, Wang Lan's palm emitted a layer of dim light. Under the light, the severely swollen leg slowly recovered as if time was rewound. The other staff members didn't think much of it. They thought all the Takashi Hoshi medical skills were miraculous. But it was different in Miss G's eyes. Pure Takashi Hoshi medical skills? No, it's not Takashi Hoshi. It's a bloodline talent? Miss G widened her eyes in shock. She couldn't believe it. The Takashi Hoshi medical skills were the attribute change of astral power of the Yang attribute. By stimulating the target cells in the same way as the Takashi Hoshi medical skills, it could save the patient. But even the powerful Takashi Hoshi medical skills had limitations. For example, his bones had been crushed into powder. Before the treatment, his bones had to be put back together. Also, completely crushed bones couldn't be restored with astral power. Therefore, in Miss G's eyes, he would be disabled in the future even if he could keep his leg and hand. Could he still fight if his bones were made of flour? However, pure medical skills, or in other words, pure medical bloodline talents, were different. They often had a miraculous effect. Take the Shun family, which had been wiped out by a mysterious force 17 years ago. They were known as the Jade Cicada clan of the Jade State and the Takashi Hoshi world's Tang Seng's flesh. Their bodies contained the miraculous power of life. As long as their bloodline talent was awakened, as long as they didn't die, their healing ability could revive them to their peak condition. Unfortunately, the family that was regarded as a treasure of the Jade State was inexplicably massacred. So far, the Jade State had not found the murderer. Wang Lan had finished treating Qing Qingzhu's leg. Her leg, which had been completely deformed and twisted, was restored to its original state in such a short time. Miss G's breathing suddenly stopped. She quickly came to Qing Qingzhu's side and gently touched Qing Qingzhu's leg. She closed her beautiful eyes and sensed the injury on Qing Qingzhu's leg. The shattered bones have been completely restored. Not only have they been restored, there aren't even any cracks on them, as though they were never injured at all. Miss G opened her eyes and looked at Wang Lan in disbelief. At this moment, Wang Lan had already retracted his hand. Qing Qingzhu's arms had also recovered after more than 10 seconds of healing. Let's welcome contestants Little Wolf and Xingfeng to the stage. The announcer's excited voice sounded from the loudspeaker. Wang Lan took the towel and wiped his forehead. It should be fine now. I'm going to go on stage. Wait! Miss G suddenly called out. What's your name? I'm participating anonymously. I don't plan to reveal my identity. It's impossible for a Takashi Hoshi to be unknown. However, I've never heard of your medical skills before. So, you haven't debuted yet, right? I'm not participating in this competition to debut. You're still a student? As soon as Miss G's guess was made, Wang Lan couldn't help but shudder. He hurriedly left. If he didn't leave now, he would be stripped naked. His figure flashed, and he disappeared without a trace. Seeing Wang Lan flee, the staff in the infirmary couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh. What are you laughing at? Do you think I'll eat you? Miss G coldly rolled her eyes at the crowd. It seems that this contestant Little Wolf is really naive. Even an experienced driver would want to spend more time with Miss G. Is this the reason why you're still here? Sorry, I'll leave now. Contestant Qing Qingzhu, take him away. When he wakes up, he'll be alive and kicking. Why are you still leaving him here? Wang Lan ran towards the stage. Jiang Xinyu slowly walked towards him. She casually tossed a mid-level soul orb into Wang Lan's hand. In an instant, Wang Lan absorbed the soul orb and recovered half of his astral power. On the stage, Xing Feng was already standing in a corner. Facing the cheers of the audience, he folded his arms and closed his eyes, motionless like a mountain. The cameras in the venue rotated 360 degrees without any blind spots, transmitting Xing Feng's elegant demeanor to every TV audience. So cool. This Xing Feng really has the temperament of an expert. Just standing there, he has the demeanor of an expert. His temperament is not bad, but I still like Wolf King more. Me too. Wolf King is more genuine. He's pretentious, cute, kind-hearted, and skilled in martial arts. Although he's wearing a mask, he's purer than all the other contestants. Those who don't wear masks are as fake as if they're wearing masks, but those who wear masks are as genuine as if they're not. Maybe this is the one and only Wolf King. Wolf King knows that there are 2 matches coming up, but he still doesn't care about his astral power consumption to save Qing Qingzhu. It's obvious that in his heart, a match is far less important than a Takashi Hoshi. As the audience waited anxiously, Wang Lan appeared in the aisle opposite the stage. Wang Lan's appearance caused an uproar among the audience. Many of them even stood up to applaud Wang Lan. Okay, contestant Little Wolf is on the stage. Before the match, I'll announce a new rule on behalf of the organizers. Contestants are not allowed to injure the other contestants unnecessarily. Once determined by the judges as intentional injury, the contestant will be disqualified. Do the two contestants have any objections? No objections. No objections. Okay, then I'll now announce the second semifinal match of the Takashi Hoshi tournament, Little Wolf vs. Xing Feng. The match officially begins. The moment the host finished speaking, the audience on the stage suddenly stood up excitedly and exclaimed in unison. This situation also made the two contestants who were about to make a move stop. Because on the big screen, they saw Ching Qingzhu walk out from the backstage unscathed and come to the audience seat. Ching Qingzhu's injuries were severe. Everyone present saw it. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that her whole body was twisted into a fried dough twist. How long has it been since the class started? 5 minutes? How could she appear so unscathed? Ching Qingzhu came to the backstage and bowed deeply to Wang Lan. After a few seconds, she straightened up and turned to leave. You can heal such an injury so quickly. You're the best Takashi Hoshi healer I've ever heard of. Why did you come to the competition? Xing Feng suddenly asked. To fight against you. To practice actual combat. Yes. What a naive idea. Most of the people who come to the Takashi Hoshi tournament are here to become famous and debut. A small number of people are here for the prize money. I'm afraid that other than you, no one would want to practice actual combat with people like us who have already given up on themselves. What about you? Why? To become famous. To earn money, to become a big star comfortably and to live a comfortable life. Xing Feng smiled bitterly with self-mockery. In the past, when I was young like you, I also dreamed of being famous. But later on, I gradually recognized myself. It's important to know one's own limitations. I'm not the chosen one, I'm just an ordinary person among the masses. You might not believe it, but I once thought of becoming someone like the 5 emperors. When I was young, it was when the Southern Flame Emperor rose to prominence. Do you know that the Southern Yen Emperor was the national idol of my generation? He was a role model. The Southern Yen Emperor was a commoner from a poor family, but he became the most dazzling star of that era. However, I failed the college entrance exam, mixed in with the army, and joined the Wasteland Reclaimers for nearly 10 years. I was still star-blazing. My talent wasn't higher than the people around me, my opportunities weren't better than others, and I didn't work harder than others. I seemed to be a rivet fixed in that eye. Since my life was already destined, why couldn't I live a more comfortable life? Be a star, act in movies, and live the rest of my life comfortably? Why did I have to risk my life like this, or die in an alternate dimension one day and become food for exotic beasts? In the world of Takashi Hoshi, it didn't make much of a difference whether I was there or not. Wasn't I talking too much nonsense? These words weren't just my thoughts. They were the thoughts of all the Takashi Hoshi who had given up on their identity as Takashi Hoshi and preferred to be ordinary people. It didn't matter if it was the celebrities who were treated as national idols, or the Takashi Hoshi who watched over people's homes and were hired thugs. They were all Takashi Hoshi deserters. Although it was humiliating, it wasn't against the law. We were afraid. We were afraid of the days when we could die at any time. Without goals and dreams, how could a salted fish dream of leaping through the Dragon's Gate? You shouldn't have said that. Wang Lan smiled bitterly. Yes, I shouldn't have said it. Saying it would be tantamount to lifting their veil. They would go from being national idols to being despised by everyone, and I would gain nothing and be cursed as an enemy of the entire country. However, I still said it because I felt inferior. I felt inferior when I saw you. You're a medical Takashi Hoshi. You came to this stage to train yourself in actual combat. I'm a lightning Takashi Hoshi, but I'm trying to curry favor for fame and to live a comfortable life. Tell me, what are you thinking? You have such strong medical abilities. You can get countless soul orbs just by lying down. As long as you have a need, there will be many Takashi Hoshi willing to be at your beck and call. You'll be a key target of protection no matter which team you join. You don't have to risk your life or go to the battlefield to kill the enemy. You just have to treat the injuries of the brothers who are injured and retreat from the battlefield. You can even refuse to go to the front line and wait for the treatment to be given after the battle. However, you have amazing combat abilities. You're only at the middle stage of the Star Glory stage. Are you a healer? Don't you have the awareness of being a healer? Xing Feng suddenly roared agitatedly, as if he was venting the shame in his heart. He was a lightning Takashi Hoshi who had given up on his dream. However, the medical Takashi Hoshi in front of him had picked up his dream. Xing Feng felt weak standing next to Wang Lan, let alone fighting with Wang Lan. Well, contestant Xing Feng, don't be too agitated. Actually, you're just imagining things. The match has already started 3 minutes ago. Let's start. Wang Lan casually dispelled the awkward atmosphere. He cupped his fists and bowed slightly. Contestant Xing Feng, please advise me. I admit defeat. Chapter 86. What? Wang Lan looked at Xing Feng in astonishment. I admit defeat. Wow! Dan Xingfeng raised his head and looked at Wang Lan seriously as he said those 3 words. The audience exclaimed in unison. Some of them even stood up unconsciously. Admit defeat? How can you admit defeat? I spent money to buy the ticket? You don't even want to fight and you admit defeat? Yeah, I voted for you. I even wanted to see your lightning thunderstep. You actually admit defeat? F*CK, I bet on you to win. You actually made me lose money? It's fine if you can't win. But you admit defeat without even fighting? The audience's uproar was not loud, but it was not quiet either. But it was like a needle that penetrated the protective shield and reached Xing Feng's ears. At this moment, Xing Feng's heart was really hurt. If one had no heart, one would not be sad. If one's heart was numb, one would not feel pain. But Xing Feng suddenly realized. He once gave up on himself. He gave up on his dream of becoming a Takashi Hoshi. He was willing to sink into depravity and become an ordinary person far away from the world. To put it nicely, he said that he had seen through life and death. He saw through the world of mortals just to spend the rest of his life in peace. In fact, it was nothing more than a cowardly escape. The audience's words were like a sharp knife that stabbed into Xing Feng's heart. Takashi Hoshi was not an actor. The Battle of Takashi Hoshi was not for you to watch. It was not for you to gamble. But what reason did Xing Feng have to refute? What qualifications did he have to quibble? Before this, when Wang Lan turned and left to save Qing Qingzhu, whose limbs were cruelly twisted, didn't Xing Feng think like this? Did he do this? You came to be an actor. How could you blame them for treating you as an actor? Was it wrong to give up on Takashi Hoshi? Of course not. Was it wrong to want to be famous and make money easily? Of course not. Was it wrong to be tired of fighting and want to spend the rest of his life in peace? Of course not. What was wrong was what was in your mind. The good hated the evil, and the evil hated the good. Xing Feng's way of thinking had changed. That was why he hated himself for falling into depravity. He hated his heart that had lost its faith because of numbness. Only by not forgetting one's original intentions can one achieve success. Is it too late for me to return to the battlefield now? Xing Feng asked himself as he slowly turned around and left. Wait, contestant Xing Feng, are you sure you want to admit defeat? It was now the semi-finals of the Takashi Hoshi tournament. As long as they won this round, not only would they receive $1,000,000 prize, they would also have a chance to compete for the throne of the Takashi Hoshi tournament. Are you really going to give up the honor that is right in front of you? The host tried to salvage the situation. In your eyes, this is an honor, but in my eyes, it is not. I went the wrong way. I want to go back. I forfeit the competition." As he spoke, Xing Feng silently turned to look at Wang Lan. "Brother Little Wolf, I know you should be very young. As someone who has been through this before, I'll give you a piece of advice. Don't ever get lost in the future. If you're numb, think about your experience in the Takashi Hoshi tournament. What did you come here for? What is your original intention? To walk in the wind and rain, to forge ahead." Xing Feng disappeared at the end of the ring. The program team was instantly busy adjusting the pace of the competition. Successfully entered the finals. Reward: 4,000 experience points, 400 skill points. A notification sounded in his mind. At this moment, the internet was in an uproar. What's wrong with Xing Feng? Why did he suddenly change? He was clearly filled with fighting spirit before. In the previous round, he was even asked if he was confident in becoming the champion. He even said that although he wasn't absolutely confident, he would do his best to fight the competition. Yeah, Xing Feng's strength is actually not inferior to Wolf King's. His lightning attribute is not restrained by his fire attribute. His Takashi Hoshi level is higher than Wolf King's. His combat experience and basic skills are not below Wolf King's. If they fought seriously, it's hard to say who would win. Yeah. Why did he suddenly admit defeat? He should be scared. Xing Feng is trash. He shouldn't be scared. He just changed his mind. Are there any psychoanalysts who can analyze what's wrong with Xing Feng? Why did he suddenly forfeit? Same here. At the same time, the Takashi Hoshi competition finals. In order to ensure the time of the live broadcast, the TV station also prepared a backup plan in case something unexpected happened. After all, this kind of thing had happened many times. When celebrity guests were invited to perform, there would always be a heavyweight star opening the show. Naturally, the corresponding preparations would be made in the middle. But did the millions of viewers care about the star's performance? No, what they cared about was how this highly anticipated competition ended so anticlimactically. The semi-finals were only half an hour away from the championship. Even if you had something to do, you wouldn't be in a hurry, right? While the entire internet was debating, a post analyzing the psychological process of Xing Feng caused endless waves and was crazily reposted by countless people. His name is Xing Feng. Takashi Hoshi awakened in the 5002nd bat. That year, he was young. That year, he looked up at the starry sky in high spirit. That year, the Southern Yen Emperor proved his Tao in a battle. His power shook the entire blue planet and he became one of the youngest 5 emperors. In the 5005th batch, Xing Feng didn't get into one of the 4 Seibu Gakuen that all Takashi Hoshi dreamt of. He didn't even get into one of the top Seibu Gakuen. Instead, he went to the Northwest Seibu Gakuen that many people had never heard of. In the 5010th batch, Xing Feng retired from the Northeast Military Region. After 5 years of military service, Xing Feng was no longer the high-spirited youth. He was now a common person in the army of 2 million Takashi Hoshi. That year, his idol was still like the sun in the sky, but he was no longer the youth who chased after his dreams. After that, Xing Feng joined the Wasteland Reclaimer Army. In the past 8 years, his former comrades fell one after another. Many brothers who were laughing and chatting with each other yesterday died on the battlefield the next day. Many brothers who were bravely fighting on the battlefield the day before packed up and said they were going home to get married and have children. Fighting, disappointment, disappearing, parting. Xing Feng was tired of this kind of life where he didn't know if there would be a tomorrow. He was getting more and more tired of it. Finally, in the 5018th batch, he made a decision. He would quit the Wasteland Reclaimer Army and return to our big city. He would give up the glory of being a Takashi Hoshi and return to being an ordinary person. If he wanted to return to being an ordinary person, Making a name for himself was naturally the most comfortable life. He chose to participate in the Takashi Hoshi tournament. This was a very fast path. But was he really willing to accept it? He thought he was, but in fact, he wasn't. When he saw that Little Wolf was participating anonymously, he asked Little Wolf why he wanted to participate in the Takashi Hoshi tournament. Little Wolf's simple answer was that he wanted to train himself for real combat. Such a naive answer, but it touched Xing Feng's heart. Such a simple reason? Just like when Xing Feng first became a Takashi Hoshi. At that time, Xing Feng was as pure as Little Wolf. Just like how many people thought of Little Wolf, although he wore a mask, he let us see his purity. Although Xing Feng and the others did not have masks on their faces, they were always wearing a mask of numbness. Qing Qingzhu's limbs were broken by Chang Shuangyue, which reminded Xing Feng of his comrade who had fallen beside him on the battlefield. At that moment, Little Wolf stood up because he was a medical Takashi Hoshi. It was his duty to save his comrade. However, what did Xing Feng say at that time? If you go now, what about the competition later? Little Wolf said, "It's okay." He then turned around without hesitation. At this moment, Xing Feng felt ashamed in front of Little Wolf's pure personality. Not only was he ashamed of Little Wolf's personality, but he was also ashamed of his past self. Back then, he was just like Little Wolf, but he did not know when he had abandoned his past self and became the person he used to hate. Little Wolf was a medical Takashi Hoshi, and he was a very strong one. He had only been gone for a few minutes, and Qing Qingzhu had returned unscathed. Such a strong medical Takashi Hoshi could clearly live a life that Xing Feng would be envious of. However, what about Little Wolf? He was strong, and his combat skills, Takashi Hoshi skills, and actual combat experience were not inferior to any professional Takashi Hoshi who had been through hundreds of battles and had experienced life and death. Little Wolf was just a medical awakened, but he had the heart of a warrior. As for Xingfeng, as a warrior, he already had the heart of a retired old man long ago. Little Wolf was like a mirror in front of Xing Feng, and his conversation with Little Wolf was more like a conversation with his past self. He used to have a dream to be like the Southern Yan Emperor. Even if he could not stand at such a high position, he hoped to be able to make a name for himself through hard work. However, reality drowned him in a sea of people. He thought that it was because he was born ordinary and was destined to be unable to realize his dream. However, after seeing Little Wolf, he realized that it was not because fate was unfair, but because he had not worked hard enough. At least compared to Little Wolf, he was indeed like that. His extinguished heart was reignited. He did not want to waste his life on this stage, not even for a second. Therefore, he chose to admit defeat and give the stage to Little Wolf. As for himself, he might have gone home to pack his luggage and planned to go back to the battlefield. Xingfeng, I wish you all the best. I hope you can borrow the strength of the wind and soar to the sky in one fell swoop. This post was very long, but it seemed to be a portrayal of Xingfeng's heart. However, everyone knew that the person who wrote this post was definitely not Xingfeng. This was because he might not have returned home at this time. Then, who could it be? Everyone was curious about the person who wrote the post, but in the end, they could only see an ID called Star Tears. There was no other substantial information. In an old-fashioned neighborhood in Sioux City, a young girl stood up gently, drew the curtains, and walked to the balcony. She raised her head and looked at the sky. The sky was clear, but there were no stars. A teardrop slowly slid down the girl's cheek. She cried silently, but suddenly smiled. She wiped her tears and smiled at the same time. Ding-dong, the doorbell rang. The girl hurriedly wiped her tears and went to the door to look through the peephole. Then, she opened the door with a gentle smile on her face. Feng, you're back? Xing Feng stood at the door, not daring to look into the girl's eyes. He lowered his head silently. Tears, I'm leaving. The girl's eyes overflowed with tears again, and they fell to the ground with a plop. Are you going back to explore? When are you coming back? At the end of next year. I just called the boss. He said that he's short of manpower. I'll go and lead a team. I can bring 20 people with me. Exploring is very dangerous. You have to be careful. Don't be careless and don't force yourself. If the exotic beasts are fierce, you have to wait until the team gathers before you go with everyone. If you encounter danger, hide. Tears, there's one thing. I want to ask you, what is it? Let's get married tomorrow, okay? I've delayed you for so many years. You're almost 30. I heard that Granny has started to introduce you to someone. Although, I'm sorry for being so careless, but they're short of manpower. They want me to go tomorrow night. The next time I come back, it'll be another year and a half. I'm afraid that when I come back, you'll be married. Okay, the girl said softly. Really? Really? Xingfeng scratched the back of his head and smiled. He smiled like the fool 18 years ago. Why are you still standing at the door? Come in. Chapter 88. Dear friends in the audience as well as those in front of the TV. Because contestant Xingfeng has forfeited, our contestant Little Wolf has entered the finals without much effort. Due to the adjustments made by the organizers, tonight's battle was supposed to start at 9 o'clock sharp, but due to an accident, it will start 10 minutes earlier. It is now 8:49:30. I now announce that the long-awaited finals of the third season of the Sioux City Takashi Hoshi Tournament has officially begun. Let us warmly welcome the contestants from both sides onto the stage. Contestant Chang Shuangyue, known as the blood-colored god of war. Also, contestant Little Wolf, known as the legendary Wolf King. Please give him a round of applause. Amidst the stirring music, Wang Lan slowly walked onto the stage with steady step. Chang Shuangyue was a strong opponent, but also a dangerous one. His cruelty and ruthlessness had been deeply rooted in people's hearts through the previous two battles. It could be said that from now on, all the Takashi Hoshi contestants who had yet to fight him would be afraid of him even if they knew his identity. But Wang Lan was definitely not one of them. It wasn't because Wang Lan was strong enough to ignore Chang Shuangyue's cruelty and ruthlessness, but because Wang Lan could withstand it. Takashi Hoshi's healing skill was to heal oneself first, then heal others. The effect of healing oneself was several times better than healing others. Your defense is indestructible, can't be broken? My immortal body can't be broken. In the end, it was hard to say who would be the one to die. Chang Shuangyue stood quietly in the distance, his face twisted. Even if there was a smile on his face, it was a kind of sinister smile that made people shudder. Wang Lan frowned slightly. Chang Shuangyue seemed to be even stranger than before. His face was twisted to an exaggerated degree, as if he was suffering some kind of indescribable pain. Contestant Chang Shuangyue, you look like you are in pain. Are you feeling unwell? The host seemed to have received some instructions from backstage, and suddenly asked Chang Shuangyue. No. I'm fine. His voice was thick and heavy like a drum. Are you sure you're all right? Although the finals were important, the physical condition of the contestants was also very important. If you feel unwell, we can postpone the match and let you see a doctor. Cut the crap, there's none. Good. Since contestant Chang Shuangyue is fine, I will announce the rules of the competition. Especially for contestant Chang Shuangyue, the referees added a rule at the last minute. You are not allowed to injure Takashi Hoshi unless absolutely necessary. If the referees determine that you intentionally injure him, you will be disqualified immediately. Do you two understand? Understood. Got it. Then, I officially announce that the competition has begun. The moment he finished speaking, Wang Lan's figure instantly dissipated and rushed toward Chang Shuangyue. The moment the host finished speaking, Chang Shuangyue's skin turned red like a cooked crab. Wang Lan held Ghost Weep in his hand and appeared in front of Chang Shuangyue like a mirror-like shadow. He waved his sword and turned it into a shining silver fan. The killer move hidden in it was aimed directly at Chang Shuangyue's eyes. Damn, he used a killer move right away? As expected of Wolf Cub, he is as sharp as ever. In all of Wang Lan's previous matches, except for the last one where he made the first move, he had never been able to gain the upper hand. It was partly because of his lack of experience but also because of other reasons. This time, Chang Shuangyue didn't look like an agile fighter. If he still couldn't gain the upper hand, then Wang Lan should really slap himself. Clank. Although Chang Shuangyue's movement wasn't as fast as Wang Lan's, his reaction speed wasn't slow. The moment Ghost Weep was about to pierce his eyes, Chang Shuangyue quickly raised his palms to block Ghost Weep's sharpness. Ghost Weep stabbed his palms as if it was stabbing Wang Lan's PS armor. The moment he blocked Wang Lan's sword attack, Chang Shuangyue's hands turned into knives and chopped at Wang Lan's head. The speed of the knife was faster than the eye could see. Chang Shuangyue's hand was still in the air, but it had already chopped at Wang Lan's head. Wang Lan's figure was split into two by the knife. Many of the audience screamed at this moment. Damn. No way? He was killed instantly? Are you blind? That's an afterimage. Wang Lan's figure disappeared after being split into two. The next moment, he appeared above Chang Shuangyue's head. The flaming knife in his hands emitted a golden light. Golden flames? Many of the girls in the audience had their eyes lit up. Girls were born with a soft spot for beautiful things. Didn't that golden flame look like the gold in the old vermilion bird's gold? Wang Lan waved the golden flaming knife and chopped at Chang Shuangyue's shoulder. Whoosh, a burst of green smoke rose and left a scratch on Chang Shuangyue's shoulder. But in an instant the scratch wiggled and disappeared. Chang Shuangyue wasn't affected at all. He turned around and chopped Wang Lan's body in half. Wang Lan's figure turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of Chang Shuangyue's chest again in the blink of an eye. The flaming knife in his hand danced, and a gorgeous flame burst out of Chang Shuangyue's body. What a beautiful flame! Is this the legendary true sun fire? Did you watch too many cartoons or something? Have you never studied physics? Flames are a kind of infrared ray. Different colors represent different temperatures. Ordinary flames are red or orange. Golden flames have a higher temperature than red flames. That's right. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. Even if you haven't seen the tail flames of a fighter jet, haven't you seen blue flames in your gas stove at home? Science guys can't be messed with. The two honest guys upstairs want to bully him. What should we do? Someone sneaked into our team of science guys. Find him. Blue flames have a higher temperature than red flames, but it also has to do with the burning material. The blue flame of natural gas is determined by the material, not the temperature. The color of gas combustion and plasma combustion is not enough. Drag that spy out and shoot him. There were many people in the comment section. When they saw Wang Lan use the golden flame, they were all excited. However, the temperature of the golden flame was unable to hurt Chang Shuangyue in his red-skinned state. Several attacks were ineffective. Moreover, Chang Shuangyue's speed was extremely fast. Almost at the same time Wang Lan attacked, he counterattacked within 0.2 seconds. If Wang Lan could not perfectly switch between the two Takashi Hoshi techniques, the Starry Moon Sword Dance and the Flaming Knife, he would have been defeated by Chang Shuangyue. Wang Lan, this kid. His talent is really scary. Just from the time he can ignore the time interval between Takashi Hoshi techniques, his future is limitless. Wang Qianfeng could not help but sigh. In the world of Takashi Hoshi, hard work was indispensable, but talent was the most important thing. You can't use talent to negate hard work, but the same amount of hard work depended on talent to determine victory. As for Wang Lan's talent, she had already eliminated 99.9% of her peers from the same generation. At the very least, there has never been anyone in recorded history who can ignore the time interval between Takashi Hoshi technique. But this only makes him invincible. It's still difficult to win. That Chang Shuangyue and Star Blazing are so strong. They shouldn't be nameless, right? How did they end up fighting in the Takashi Hoshi tournament? I checked this yesterday. Chang Shuangyue used to explore the Northwest. 2 years ago, his team was ambushed by exotic beasts and suffered heavy casualties. In the end, only 3 of them survived. After that, he left the exploration team and returned to Sioux City. There, he opened a dojo to teach people how to fight. His strength from the data, it doesn't seem that strong. And the Takashi Hoshi techniques he's using now are not recorded. Also, he's a very gentle person. I don't know why he's acting so tyrannical. The data and the person we investigated seem to be 2 different people. But there's no doubt that it's him. We'll pay more attention to this person. With this kind of temperament, it's hard to avoid problems. Look, Wang Lan has changed his tactics. He Mingxue reminded. Wang Qianfeng looked up at the screen again. This time, Wang Lan pulled away from Chang Shuangyue, all the way to the edge of the ring. His face was a little pale. More than half of his star power had been used up. Chang Shuangyue was approaching with large strides. His burly body shook the ground as he ran. Footprints were left on the concrete floor under his feet. No one who walked the path of stacking armor had a good ending. That was because they couldn't keep up with the ever-changing situation of the battlefield. But if the strength of the stacking armor was to the point that even the assassins could only look on in the dust, then it would still be a successful iron tortoise. It couldn't be denied that Chang Shuangyue's Takashi Hoshi technique was a success. Wang Lan's countless attacks were nothing more than a tickle to him. And Wang Lan only needed to take 1 hit from him to be finished. Just now, he had used all his strength to use 1 punch 3 strength. Even the bones in his hand had been shattered, but it didn't cause any damage to his opponent. It could be seen that if he wanted to break through his defense, he would need to use even more powerful attacks. He still had 800 skill points left. This was Wang Lan's biggest asset. Flaming Blade add points. Wang Lan quickly added points to Flaming Blade to Silver 9 while Chang Shuangyue was rushing over. When Flaming Blade was upgraded to the highest level, an epiphany instantly flowed through his mind. Wang Lan's lips curled into a confident smile. What the hell is Wang Lan doing? He's already so close, why isn't he moving? Wang Qianfeng frowned as he asked. Who knows? Actually, there is a way to break through Chang Shuangyue's defense, and that is to use the purple flame blade. He Mingxue said in a low voice. Are you kidding me? You practiced the flaming blade for 7 years before you could master the purple flame blade. Wang Lan has only been practicing it for 2 months. If he can master the purple flame blade in such a short time, I'll eat this coffee table. Wang Qianfeng roared impatiently. Wang Qianfeng was the kind of person who didn't like to make unrealistic assumptions. Any proposal or plan had to be within the realm of possibility. This was true for everyone. You want Wang Lan to master the purple flame blade in 2 months? Why don't you let him master the phoenix form in 3 years? However, on the screen, Wang Lan suddenly moved. His hands opened into palms, and 2 purple flame blades instantly appeared above his palms. It was so enchanting, so beautiful. Wang Qianfeng's expression was petrified. He stared blankly at the scene of Wang Lan holding the purple flame blade as he charged towards Chang Shuangyue. That? How do you plan to eat the coffee table? Steam? Braise? Or stir-fry? Chapter 89. You still have the nerve to make fun of me? Have you been living like a dog for the past 7 years? You took 7 years to master the purple flame blade, and he mastered it in 2 months. If I were you, I would have killed myself. Wang Qianfeng quickly retorted. Me? When Wang Lan learned the flame blade on the spot, I had already accepted my fate. Isn't it good to live happily? Why should I compare myself with a monster? Do you still remember Sir Hao Yu? Back then, he insisted on comparing himself with Yan Emperor, but what happened in the end? His beliefs collapsed, and he's still in an autistic state. In the arena, Wang Lan leaped and stabbed his purple flame blade into Chang Shuangyue's shoulders. Chang Shuangyue seemed to have unparalleled confidence in his own defense. The corner of his mouth hooked up into a faint sneer, and he clawed at Wang Lan's shoulder. Poochie! Warm blood spurted out, and Wang Lan and Chang Shuangyue's movements paused. In an instant, more than a dozen cameras quickly changed angles, broadcasting this frozen scene to the thousands of households in front of their televisions. Chang Shuangyue's hand was only an inch away from Wang Lan's shoulder, but Wang Lan's two flame blades had already pierced through Chang Shuangyue's defense and stabbed into his shoulder. It went in front of his chest and out of his back. Ah, F***ck, that's a sharp blade. I didn't even see what happened. Can someone explain? Explain my ass, go back and watch the replay. The Wolf King is indeed the Wolf King. He still has a trick up his sleeve. Purple flames, the highest flame in the legends. Upstairs, the legendary highest flame is colorless, it has no shadow or shape, and it kills people in an instant. Can it still be considered a flame if it has no color or shape? Idiot. Are you an idiot? Flames are the manifestation of infrared rays. If you can't see color, then there's no infrared ray? How did you go to middle school? You want to argue with me? I have a primary school diploma, and you ask me how I went to middle school? Is there a hole in your brain? Boss, I can't afford to offend you. Goodbye. In an instant, Wang Lan put away his flame saber, and once again punched Chang Shuangyue's chest with his triple strength. Boom! With a loud bang, Chang Shuangyue's body flew up high and fell backward. As for Wang Lan, she was also frowning in pain. F***ck, every time I use 3 forces of one punch with all my strength, the bones in my hand will break. What kind of freak was the ancient martial arts master who created this move? Are his bones Wolverine? Boom! Chang Shuangyue's body crashed to the ground. Wang Lan instantly rushed forward and stepped on Chang Shuangyue's chest. The purple flame saber in his hand was pressed against Chang Shuangyue's throat. Whoosh, we won. Little Wolf is mighty. Wolf King dominance. The audience stood up sparsely and began to clap and cheer. This battle was pleasing to their eyes, and it was also thrilling. They saw Chang Shuangyue's invincible posture, and Wang Lan's gorgeous Takashi Hoshi technique switching made their blood boil. Moreover, in these thrilling battles, every moment was a close brush with death. Unlike the previous episode, when he clearly could have finished off the opponent, there were so many pretentious movements before Takashi Hoshi. It was obvious that it was fake. Wang Lan's purple flame saber broke through Chang Shuangyue's invincible defense in one fell swoop, and it could be said that he had turned the tables. At this moment, Chang Shuangyue's arms were injured, and Wolf King's purple flame saber was pressed against Chang Shuangyue's throat. There was no longer any suspense as to who the champion of the Takashi Hoshi tournament would belong to. At the judges' table, a few judges nodded to each other, and one of them stood up. After our discussion, we have decided that the champion of the 3rd season of the Takashi Hoshi tournament is Boom. A loud noise instantly exploded in the center of the ring. Chang Shuangyue suddenly burst out with a terrifying wave of astral power, shattering the cement beneath him. At that moment, Wang Lan felt a sense of crisis in his heart. Wang Lan instantly retreated, almost brushing past Chang Shuangyue's sharp claws, and dodging a fatal blow. I haven't lost. How can I lose? I haven't lost. Chang Shuangyue's expression became even more twisted, and the bright red skin on his body gradually turned pitch black, as if it had been dyed with ink. Damn you! I'm going to kill you, contestant Chang Shuangyue. The judges have decided the winner. Please obey our decision. Obey my ass. What do you know about fighting? What do you know about Takashi Hoshi? Takashi Hoshi is a killing technique? There is only one criterion to determine the winner. Whoever lives wins. Whoever dies loses. That is the winner and the loser, as well as life and death. Roar! Suddenly, Chang Shuangyue roared to the sky, and as he roared, pieces of pitch-black carapace appeared on his body. In the blink of an eye, Chang Shuangyue turned from a human into an insect-like monster. "Come on with your purple flaming blade. Let's see if you can pierce my defense." Chang Shuangyue raised his spiked fist and sneered ferociously. "Demonized Takashi Hoshi!" Wang Lan shouted sternly. "Evacuate the crowd, all of them." When Chang Shuangyue heard Wang Lan call him demonized Takashi Hoshi, he paused, and his expression changed instantly. Boom, wings extended from his back, and he soared into the sky, breaking through the glass overhead. The two people who were watching the live broadcast in Wang Qianfeng's office jumped up the moment they saw Chang Shuangyue demonized. They rushed out of the window and ran toward Sioux City TV station. Wang Lan was stunned for half a second. Suddenly, his body flashed and rushed into the hole overhead. He then turned into a shadow and disappeared before everyone's eyes. All of this happened too quickly, so quickly that everyone fell into a daze. There was dead silence on the internet for about 10 seconds. Holy sh*t, what happened? Why did they all run away? What is Chang Shuangyue doing? Did he transform into an armored warrior? Why didn't you say it was a super evolution of a beet lemon? This might not be so simple. Chang Shuangyue fled in a hurry after transforming, and Wolf King chased after him without hesitation. Maybe this is going to be big news. Holy sh*t, explosive. Who is the final champion? Bullsh*t, who else can it be? It must be Wolf King. Chang Shuangyue had wings after demonizing. This caused a lot of trouble for Wang Lan to track him down. Fortunately, Chang Shuangyue's body was too big. He didn't fly too fast. Wang Lan could still vaguely follow him from afar. Chang Shuangyue quickly flew away from the riot area and headed toward the dense industrial area. Between the city and the industrial area there was a stretch of village in the city. Wang Lan didn't have much astral power left. If he continued using Dance of the Nebula, he could only sustain it for 10 minutes at most. Reinforcements from the Heavenly Sword Bureau would arrive at some point. Wang Lan's mobile phone was the only thing he could use to locate his brothers. Therefore, Wang Lan had to follow Chang Shuangyue closely. If he lost him, it would be troublesome to find him again. Do I have to use my phoenix form? I don't like it. Suddenly, a wave of energy appeared. It couldn't be seen clearly in the darkness of the night. However, Wang Lan instinctively felt a sense of danger. The wave of energy disappeared in a flash. In the sky, Chang Shuangyue was suddenly split in two and fell from the sky. Wang Lan suddenly stopped in his tracks. In the empty field, a high-speed train was speeding past in the distance. A breeze blew past Wang Lan's cheeks. In the distance, a humanoid demon was looking at him with bright red eyes. At his feet was Chang Shuangyue's body, which had been neatly cut in two. Demons! Wang Lan's heart jumped. Chang Shuangyue, who had successfully demonized, was at least in the middle or late nebula stage. However, the other party could instantly cut Chang Shuangyue in two. Then, the demonized Takashi Hoshi in Sioux City must have something to do with you. Phoenix form, activate. The space between Wang Lan's eyebrows instantly lit up. The moment the red emblem appeared, he turned into a stream of light and attacked the demon. He punched out. The fist energy burned the hot air, creating a bright red pillar of fire. However, the other party easily dodged the attack and jumped into the sky. With a flash, the other party disappeared. Even Wang Lan, who was in her phoenix form, was unable to make him stay? Where do you think you're going? In the sky, a stream of light streaked across the sky where the demon had disappeared. However, in the end, nothing was left. Two figures appeared in front of Wang Lan at this time. Wang Lan withdrew his phoenix form. This time, he had only activated it for a short period of time. Moreover, Wang Lan's body was much stronger than before, so he didn't make a fool of himself. However, his limbs were still weak. He Lauer should be a real demon, right? Wang Qianfeng looked in the direction the demon had disappeared in, and said indifferently, "It should be." Wang Lan in his phoenix form couldn't make him stay. "Wang Chu, where are you?" Wang Lan calmed down for a while, then walked in front of the two and saluted. "It's good that you immediately thought of chasing after him." Wang Qianfeng was expressionless even when he was praising someone. But to be praised by him as very good, that was already a great praise. Seeing the demonized Takashi Hoshi transform, your humble servant should have followed. However, the demonized Takashi Hoshi was killed by the demons. Your humble servant couldn't stop it in time. I feel guilty. Guilty my ass. How many days have you been in the Heavenly Sword Bureau? He Mingxue didn't have a straight face like Wang Qianfeng. He laughed and scolded, "This time, it's all thanks to you. If it was his precious child, Su Shiyun, I'm afraid that kid would have to stay here. I saw that demonized person from afar. He was going to kill you. However, you decisively activated your phoenix form and took the initiative to attack. He saw that he couldn't deal with you in a short period of time, so he fled. If you want to blame someone, you should blame us. We didn't rush over at full speed, resulting in a delay of 1 second. Sigh. Wang Chu, where are you? Your humble servant speculates that the demonized Takashi Hoshi should be led by an organization. Even the reason for their demonization should be related to the demons. There are demon spies hiding in our Su city. You came into contact with the demonized Takashi Hoshi when you were in the trial area? Yes. However, I didn't think of it at the time, so I thought he was just an ordinary mutated Takashi Hoshi. Later, I discovered the demon's base, which led to the trial area incident. It seems that the demons are secretly making a big plan. Wang Qianfeng muttered to himself, then raised his head to look at Wang Lan. I'll give you the credit for discovering the demonized Takashi Hoshi, but you still have to go to school. It's not appropriate for you to participate. Wang Lan took a step forward, excitedly grabbing Wang Qianfeng's arm. Please let me participate, even if it's just to be an assistant. How could Wang Lan miss this opportunity when the demon race was stirring up trouble? Winning a Takashi Hoshi tournament only gave a few skill points and experience points? How could it compare to destroying the demon's scheme and winning victory for humanity? If he really missed it because he had to go to school, Wang Lan might cry with regret. You're still young. You should prioritize your studies. Wang Chu, I can actually apply for a leave of absence from school. Nonsense. In the Heavenly Sword Bureau, which one of you didn't graduate from a famous school? If you want to leave school, return the uniform to me. Also, I'll give you a mission now. You must get into one of the big 4 Seibu Gakuen. If you can't, I'll slap you to death. Complete the Takashi Hoshi tournament and obtain the first championship title in your life. Reward: 5,000 experience points and 500 skill points. A notification suddenly sounded in his mind. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.